Amazing.
You're tuned into news across the galaxy where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the NAG Boys. Let's start nagging.
We keep on nagging. Welcome to News Across the Galaxy, where we talk all things LA Galaxy and sometimes USMNT's national team. I am your host. Hey, don't give me that. What the fuck? I'm your host, Bryant Nags, aka Fake Ass Ultra. Next to me today is my great San Francisco 49ers fan, Edgar Zuniga. How you doing, sir?
I'm relieved the Niners won, man. Like I was saying 24 hours ago, I was like, these guys they're not gonna
Oof,
make it.
dude, I
And then the
was.
last 2 minutes,
Yep, I was shitting the whole game. And of course, we have a very special guest, a friend of the show. We've done a midweek show with this
two
personality. Is that fair to say?
two midweek shows,
And a
three
very
midweek
great,
shows.
well-spoken person, Matt Pollard, from all the way to Colorado. How you doing, sir?
Ryan, Ed, thanks for having me on. No, my third cap officially. I don't know if we
Yes.
want to count the short one where we talked about Michael Barrios. I think we can call that a substitute appearance. So nice to be back on NAG News and getting my second start and everything. And hopefully I perform better than the USMNT did the other night.
Yeah. Speaking of these U.S. national team players, what is your initial thought about this loss against Slovenia? 1-0.
Well,
Was
first
it
of
1-0
all,
2-1? 1-0.
did you know they were playing?
I did not,
I didn't
to be
know
honest.
they were playing.
I did
You
not.
never playing, Matt?
No, I did not. I'll be honest. Like my phone notified me that the game was happening that morning and that the lineups dropped and everything. I could not be bothered. I saw the roster 10 days, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I was like, okay, this is typical Camp Cupcake. I have no reason to care about this, and I completely forgot that it was happening. So it was 20 minutes ago that I, watched the highlights and saw them lose to Slovenia, and I could not care less. And people want to get upset at about Greg Berhalter with having to deal with Diego Luna as in the attack and everything. I could not be bothered about this.
And by the way, Brian,
To say nothing of the fact that Cole Bassett should have been called in, but in any case.
Brian's a terrible host.
Yes, because on the 1 and 2s is one of my favorite guys, Eddie Nags. How you doing, Eddie?
Oh, guys, you shouldn't have. Thank you. Well, no, that's enough. That's enough. Thank you, guys. Thanks. No, to what Matt was saying. Me and Edgar responded, and I was like, "What the fuck? The U.S. plays tomorrow?" I had to text you Friday because I saw on Instagram. I was like, "What the hell?" But Camp Cupcake we're gonna need a new name because it's not even as
Sweet as a cupcake.
Yeah, it's friendlier than Cupcake. I don't know, Camp Weenie Hut Jr. or something. Because you saw this. I didn't know where they were playing or anything, and then I turned it on. I'm like, dude, are they playing at my high school? At my old high school? What the hell's going on? They
Camp
don't
Mini Muffins, Camp Camp Cake Pop from like the the sponsor from Starbucks, because Greg likes to go to all the places and get the different Starbucks cup and everything. Yeah,
Cake
like
Pops.
we need a new term for like how far down the depth chart. If the World Cup was tomorrow, like how big would the roster have to be for any of these guys, with the exception of Miles Robinson, maybe one of the fullbacks, in order to like realistically get into this team? Like how far down the roster would we have to go to get to like Atencio getting called up for the USMNT?
Well, here's another problem I have with this game, and I could just go into the performance because I can't name half the players that went. My thing about this is it's obvious. It's like one of the most talented pools the U.S. has ever had.
Yeah,
Right.
by far.
So
I think so too.
you should take every opportunity possible to make it. They played in front of a small crowd, and for some of these players, is the only look they're ever gonna get. And you guys trying to name me one player that you think like, even Diego Luna, oh yeah, he deserves another look. Nobody stepped up to it. Tillman, he had a mediocre game. That's it. That's the only person that like, even who was the keeper? I forget his name. He was a Columbus keeper, right?
Weenie Hut Jr.
Patrick Schulte.
Yeah, that when he came out, he like just came out soft as well. Everything was just bad about that game.
Ugh.
Soft.
Well,
Oh man.
for my liking,
I'll say the one.
go ahead.
Sorry, I'll say the one thing I always say about Greg, and I've been saying this forever. After a while, I mean, after seeing him like the first couple matches, I knew right away. I knew right away, and it's always stuck with me. To me, he is like a camp counselor or one of those like guidance counselors at school. That if you're having a bad day, you go and see him. He'll hold your hand. He'll tell you you're beautiful, that you're special, you're strong. He'll give you some words of reaffirmation. and then he'll slap you on the butt as you walk out the door. But in reality, he's not really giving you any kind of real good life advice. And then that's how I see Greg. He's great with the players, right? And we were talking about this, Matt. You gave a perfect metaphor. What's it like, that one substitute teacher, right?
Yeah, so it's so the point that you were making, Ed, was that the reason why you would have confidence in Greg is because the players love working with him. Other than like Gio Reyna at Qatar, everybody liked him going into the World Cup. They liked him for the most part. Coming out of the World Cup, they like working with him now. But everybody likes a substitute teacher who says, yeah, there's no homework, we're putting on a movie. And so to your point about him being a camp counselor, I guess the way that I would describe it, Ed, is that I think he's friendlier or has a more personable and empathetic relationship that is more about maintaining that than actually getting results done. Bruce Arena was not friends with the players that he coached. The guy in '94, Slava, I can't remember his name.
Isn't it Bora
the
Milutinovic?
Bora, yeah, Bora was not friends with them. Bob Bradley was not friends. He had good working relationships because he had been a former player and coached so long in MLS to where he knew a lot of these guys in ways that for you to previously have known Greg, you would have had to have been Zach Steffen, formerly with Columbus. But he's friendlier with any of the other coaches that we had in the past. As the intelligence police comes up behind me, so
they're after you, bro.
Yeah,
they're after you. Slander. Slander.
This is gonna turn into, it's gonna be like a live cop session here when they bust through my door and everything and arrest me.
Freeze.
And his tactics aren't super interesting. I think the fan base was over him. I think probably halfway through the World Cup, if not certainly by the end of it, and we're stuck with him because leadership in U.S. soccer is scared to make a bold or a different decision, and so the players and leadership are maintaining the status quo. And I don't fault Greg Berhalter for being the coach that he is. I fault the people around him for enabling this to happen, and this has me concerned about what's going on at 2026. At the same time, I think the majority of the USMNT discourse out there is toxic and not based in reality, and so I choose not to interact with it.
Which is a smart decision, to be honest.
And you know what? You can draw parallels with the U.S. and both our clubs.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Mismanaged clubs, mismanagement in hiring a legit coach, and mismanagement in actually the scouting department.
American Outlaws, if you are listening to this, the next game, if you are that upset with Greg Berhalter, have a walkout in the 20th minute and hang up a bunch of banners that say the fans, the players, the badge deserves better.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna leave you guys with this, and then we'll move on from the U.S. I was telling Brian before we went on, right? Historically, if I'm not mistaken, no non-domestic coach has won the World Cup, right?
No, yeah, every single World Cup winner has had a coach from that nation, right. But at the same time, it's been the same 7 countries who've done it before.
Okay, but Berhalter, I think, was a good club coach, in my opinion. I think he built that Columbus team that Porter took over and won. I don't think Porter won the MLS Cup. I think Berhalter's team won. The thing is, who do you pick, right? Who do you pick as the U.S. coach? We can name whoever we want. Schmetzer's a great club coach. Is it going to reflect with the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
For me, everyone was crazy about Jesse Marsh. Now he fell off the face of the earth. Vermees, I think he's just comfortable where he's at. Would he do good as a U.S. coach? Who do you guys who would you take the chance with?
And I think that's a tough question, especially with U.S. soccer, because as a nation, we've been the best at everything except for this sport. And it doesn't make sense because of the factor that we have such a multicultural pot in this country. Are you going to tell me you can't find the best 11 to compete against everybody else in the world? It doesn't equate, and it doesn't compute with me why we're not at that level. Now, as Matt said, the people that are in charge of hiring certain people, that's where it needs to be fixed.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, to what Brian said, and even bouncing off what Matt said, it's not up to us, right, to figure out who's the guy that's right for the job. because we can't name it. I can see the wheels turning in Matt's head right there. He's trying to give an answer, but it's like who?
So the one name that we haven't brought up, Patrick Vieira would have been the other one. I think if you were going with somebody who, I think MLS is as unique as U.S. soccer is. So I think if you can get someone who has a pedigree outside of what they've done in MLS, but understands MLS and understands the American player, that is then someone who's not originally from the United States who could be successful. And so if I'm looking at that, Patrick Vieira would have been the one. Full disclosure, I was on the Jesse Marsch train. I was ready for us to just go full Red Bull soccer and then rely on we made this point before we hit the record button about Kevin Cabral being a great athlete, but being a terrible finisher and thus a bad soccer player. I think if we leaned into the fact that we have equal or better athletes on the highest level of the international game, even if we don't have the best soccer players, that would have been a way to get marginal gains, as I flipped my pen accidentally. So yeah, Jesse Marsch or Patrick Vieira would have been the one, but yeah, it speaks to a complex problem. And Eddie, as you were saying, like fundamentally the issues of the failings of it are above the people that we're all complaining about. For all the frustrations you have about Will Kuntz or Jovan Karofsky or what Greg Vanney are doing, like the fact that Phil Anschutz sees the Galaxy as a fun plaything that he funds with money-wise but isn't hands-on involved in has contributed to the Galaxy being what they are for the past decade. And the fact that the Rapids are functionally a loss leader for the sports portfolio for KSE so that they can punt on some taxes is why the Rapids are where they are right now. And so fundamentally, don't get mad at Chris Armas, don't get mad at Greg Vanney, don't get mad at Kevin Cabral or the ghost of Kevin Cabral, get mad at ownership, get mad at the leadership at U.S. Soccer, don't get mad at Greg Berhalter. And then I get yelled at on Twitter, and so I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to be on Twitter when the U.S. is playing.
We never are on Twitter when the U.S. plays because it's a very harsh thing to go into. And speaking about the LA Galaxy and just
Berhalter forever.
Nah, fuck that. Let's get into some LA Galaxy rumors. One that really pissed me off was a Carlos Vela interest with the LA Galaxy. Let's just shut this shit down right now. Even Kuntz himself said nothing going on with that. And let's put it out there. Carlos Vela in the LA Galaxy will never happen.
Yeah, I was on the Orlando City Fan TV Safe Space pod that they have. If you guys haven't seen this already, Orlando City Fan TV they're hosting what they call an MLS Safe Space pod, which is live, and they invite any MLS fans to go on there and just talk about any topic. And I've been very lucky. Both times I've been on there, they've had me as a special guest, and allowed me to ask me questions. And they asked me about Carlos Vela, and I was like, you know what, guys, I'll tell you what I think. When I first started learning about journalism, when I first got my very first press pass, I was very fortunate to sit in the Rose Bowl press box next to Graham Jones, who's a soccer journalism legend. He was a writer for the LA Times at the time. He wrote for Soccer Digest. He was an editor for Soccer Digest, and he was my first mentor. And I remember, among the many things I learned from him was something really funny. I remember it was the middle of the season, and Galaxy was having like a so-so kind of season, and out of the blue, people started talking about this rumor that Eric Onoda might end up with the LA Galaxy in a trade or something. And I started asking around in the club, and people were like, I don't know. And so I remember sitting in the press box and talking to Graham Jones about it, and I was like, what is this rumor here about Eric Winoda? And he's like, you know where that came from? I'm like, who? He's like, me. I'm like, why? He goes, sometimes you got to stir the pot. I was like, really? Oh, okay. So when I heard that thing about Vela, I was like, someone out there is stirring the pot just for clicks and for like attention. And a lot of people are like pouncing on that, like the seagulls from Finding Nemo. And I told him, this is not real. This is complete BS. It's just somebody who wants some attention. There's no way Vela's going to come over here, especially with the history with the clubs. And if it's very rare to have one player jump over and become like an instant fan favorite. There's maybe 2 or 3 of them. I think the latest one was Raheem Edwards, right? But to do that, you have to completely say screw those guys. I'm all in with the Galaxy, and this is the real club. But for somebody like Vela to do it, somebody his caliber to come over here, no way. That's
Can I
not
play?
happening.
he's
can I-
not
hold on,
Landon
hold on.
Donovan.
Can I play devil's
I'll tell you
advocate?
that. He's not Landon Donovan.
Can I play devil's
Uh-oh,
advocate
here we go.
Go ahead.
How about like the fun part of it, right? What if we would have took him for cheaper? Like, he decides not to sign with LAFC and take a pay cut. Out of spite, he comes to our team. So we take him for cheaper.
Non-DP?
Yeah, non-DP.
Oh, I would actually take him. To
Yeah,
be
he gives us. He gives
I would
us.
take
You
him, to
know,
be honest.
he gives us decent numbers, and at the end of the day, like we did it first. It's gonna happen, and I'm not trying to compare him to these players, but freaking Rivaldo, Barca and Madrid. I'm not trying to compare him to the players. I'm just saying this has happened.
Ronaldo.
Players with names.
Yep.
In their respective leagues. The original Ronaldo, both
Played for
Milan-
Madrid, Barca, Inter, and Milan.
Yeah.
All clubs that hated each other. And was a baller in all those clubs.
I mean, I'm just saying it would have been fun. I wasn't rooting for it to happen, and I never thought it was real. But there would have been a fun side to it as well.
What you think, Matt?
There's some players that are just inherently mercenaries of who I'm out of contract, who wants to sign me, what's the most money I can get, what's the longest term I can get. So like Tevez was like that. I don't know how much you guys are hockey players, but like the Eastern European and the Scandinavian players are notoriously like that in that regard. Jaromir Jagr, like he would go play on horrible teams, be a point per game player on a team that's never going to make the playoffs if they offered him more money than going back to the Penguins to try and win a Stanley Cup. And so I look at like Carlos Vela, I feel like has been a very intentional person, and he found a nice home and he had a good groove going on in LAFC in ways that I don't think that he ever really had at his various stops along the way in Europe. And so I don't know that like he would look at that same way or like see that opportunity. And so I just like he wouldn't be the type of player to go back and move. And the players who have crossed town, have crossed the 405, have been players that have mostly either been role players where somebody was brought in to do a job for cheap and then they became expendable. So it'd be like a Raheem Edwards, or if Benny Feilhaber wanted to play one more year and was willing to, only like make $100K to be in like the Sasha Kljestan role, would Benny Feilhaber have come to the Diggity? Maybe like those are the ones that I'm thinking of. But like to your point, Bryant, like Landon Donovan's never going to LAFC. I'm struggling to think of like a player of like who's emotionally like connected in with the LA Galaxy currently. But yeah, like if Robbie Keane would have done that, he would have been seen as an absolute traitor.
100%.
The only reason that it became acceptable or like noticed that because the two big ones that you would have from a Rocky Mountain Cup standpoint are Kyle Beckerman, who was specifically traded and then like got into the league with Colorado and then went to RSL. So he was at RSL for so long and so great that we don't even think about him that much being a Rapids player, even though he was originally. And the other one is Pablo Mastroeni, and we have to acknowledge that Pablo was traded to the LA Galaxy, so he didn't get to retire as a Colorado Rapid, and he was fired after ownership did a really bad job of supporting him and then made him the scapegoat in 2017, and he had to work his way up, and the next coaching job opportunity that he got was with RSL. I can't blame him. And so in that regard, there's this weird, awkward truce with the Rocky Mountain Cup of that's where Pablo is, and if you didn't want that to happen, the Rapids, then you should have spent money on actual DPs, because Pablo Ruiz and Damir Krylov were way better than that. I think Carlos Vela, I wouldn't say that he's washed, but like he's old and he'd be more interesting from a marketing and a jersey sales to Mexico standpoint than as a player. I think the Galaxy need to get younger. I think they need to diversify. I do not think, unlike where the Rapids are a good landing spot for players who are known quantities in MLS, I think the Galaxy have to be looking outside of MLS more so in order to get that. And in that regard, I would have wanted Diego Fagundes back before I would have even considered Carlos Vela.
Yeah, well,
even though they played
with that. Go ahead, Edgar.
Another thing I brought up, sorry, during that talk with the Orlando guys was about how his production really fell off in the second half of this past season. and there's always been questions about his passion for the sport. He's always been very quiet, very reserved. He was like complete antithesis of Chicharito, who was very vocal, very chatty. You put these two guys in a room, they're like water and oil, completely different. And so there's always questions about how much passion he has for the game. He stated before that it's not really his favorite thing to do is play, play the sport of football. So you wonder how much longer is he gonna go before one day he's just like, you know what, I don't feel it anymore. I'm done.
I don't want to make that run.
I don't want to play here anymore.
Yeah.
See you, bye. You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
and I
Douglas
get the feeling
Costa did that
might
for the
happen.
last 6 months. He was at the Galaxy.
Hey.
So.
Don't you dare! Nah.
How about this? You guys are having a great off season, Matt.
Yeah, let's
You
talk
guys
about
say-
that.
you
Let's talk
take-
about that.
What have you guys signed Vela?
What is your rumors?
Well, hold on. Let him answer.
we
What
get
have you
into
guys
that,
signed Vela? How
If
would
the
you feel?
Rapids have signed Carlos Vela, he's not the right fit, regardless of age and fitness and how much longer he does or doesn't want to play football.
And he's won too much to play for Colorado.
He's not he's not the right stylistic fit for what the Rapids want to do, particularly in out wide roles, because they brought in Omer Fernandez, and it was literally Chris Armas being like, I'm going to play you, I'm going to give you an opportunity to develop and then go to Europe, in ways that Red Bull were stunting your growth. And then you look at all the other wide guys that they've gotten, they're either very direct, or if you would say that the closest player on the Rapids right now to what Carlos Vela is on the ball would be Jordi Mihailovic, but then you look at their pressing statistics, and Jordi Mihailovic is up there with Red Bull's players, and Carlos Vela is closer to Messi than he is to any of them as well. And so the Rapids fundamentally need to be a team that when they don't have the ball, those front four, Navajo, Carlos Vela, Cole Bassett, Jordi Mihailovic, and Omer Fernandez, they need to hunt and actively pursue them. I didn't see that. Carlos Vela, he was invisible at MLS Cup. He was completely taken out of the game, and I did not see him move at all off the ball. So no, he wouldn't be a good fit. If he wants to come on a league minimum, and if he can get his green card, then I think Porrick Smith would take the call. I think the Rapids will take younger guys who have better upside and resale value. But to answer your question, Eddie, I am just as shocked as you with the Rapids spending money and winning the offseason in ways that they have never won the offseason.
And just in general.
The fact that Weeby is bringing up the Rapids without being bullied by Rapids fans to bring them up
You know what?
speaks to how well the front office has done this winter.
Hey, you know what? Though,
So
you guys deserve it, because all of us here, we're league fans. We're MLS fans, and you guys are an original club.
Yeah,
so-
Rapids are originals.
Yeah,
we want to
so-
see you guys succeed. To be honest.
Yeah, well, no,
Not over us. Not over us.
Take it easy there, Brian.
Not
Don't
over
get
us.
all crazy. But
Okay, but Bryant, you don't want the Rapids have been dragging down the league for so many years, where the Galaxy, in that period were the ones, advancing it forward, and now you could say it's the Ohio teams, it's Miami, it's Atlanta, and everything. And so for every single one of those, you have a team either in a smaller market or in a historic market that's barely treading water. If we look at the Chicago Fire, if you look at the Quakes, if you look at Houston until this year, if you look at Dallas, other than maybe selling their academy kids and everything, like the Rapids are the Colorado Rockies, and the Rockies spending no money and losing 100 games just to suckle at the teat of the luxury tax that the Dodgers are playing is beneficial for them financially, but at the expense of Major League Baseball and the growth of the game in the country. And in that regard, the Rapids have been a drag on what I think MLS is capable of being. So yeah, like a rising tide lifts all boats. It's nice that the Rapids upgraded from like canoe to pontoon, as we're right next to Messi's yacht.
There's one thing I wanted to bring up, because as we're getting to this conversation about our two clubs, and that is, I want to bring a parallel to what's going on, because last season, our season began with the whole Chris Klein protest, the Klein out protest, and nobody really knew how that was going to end, right? A lot of people were like, this is unprecedented for our club. It was very loud. Like you said, Guessman was selling those, the noise shirts, right, and all that stuff. But nobody really knew how this was going to end. And lo and behold, here we are a year later, and Klein is gone, and Jovan Karofsky he just got kicked, got the boot. And they're
What did
rebuilding the
Jovan
club.
do? Do we know what Jovan did?
He
Nobody
existed.
really
No.
knows. He existed.
He
would
existed.
show
That's
up
what happened.
and push a button like George Jetson.
And he did
Um,
he did
But like, if I were to go to Jovan and be like, Jovan, like, describe a day to day. Like, what are your responsibilities? What's one success the Galaxy had that you were involved in? Because from an outsider looking in, like, I don't understand what his role was or what he did and everything. And I feel like if I were to name people in, well, maybe Galaxy fans wouldn't notice, but if I went to an RSL fan and said Wayne Brandt, Porrick Smith, Fran Taylor, Brian Crookham, they could name what they do and then roughly what they were responsible for that has helped the club. And it's not clear to me what on the actual on the field standpoint Jovan Karofsky did other than get a paycheck and then assign blame to other people.
Well, that's a great question because that's actually a big problem that Galaxy fans have with our, the ladder. We don't know who does what really. We have like all these made up ass positions. We didn't have a GM till like last off season where Kuntz was promoted. So what did Jovan do? I don't know. You hear that, and I was always like, I'm here or there with Jovan staying or going because you hear that he was the one that was very crucial in bringing in Zlatan, right? He posted the IG post when he was in, despite what happened with Chicha, he went out and helped get Chicha. So, I mean, I think he was a guy, in my opinion, I think he was a guy with the Rolodex, and that's all he was. And as far as what he actually did, I don't know.
That's why he got fired. That is why he's no longer part of the LA Galaxy, because nobody really knew what this man was doing. And if you want to have a successful team, everybody from the front office to the players know their roles. This man, Karofsky, it's the plan that the LA Galaxy, or the blueprint that the LA Galaxy used to have when they had success, is outdated already, especially in this new MLS format. Like you mentioned earlier, Matt, the LA Galaxy needs to get younger. I'm of the fan of saying, fuck big names. Bring me players that want to, they're hungry and could ball out in this league. And there's been plenty of instances where we've seen that with other teams. Atlanta, Almiron, he went to Newcastle. We see that even with Seattle. And teams like that know how to build without having an actual big star name. That's what we need to go to. We don't need to sign Beckhams anymore. Bring players that are hungry to win and showcase their skill so they could go to Europe.
Bring players that want to play for the Galaxy, not players who want to play for LA.
There you go. Perfectly stated. Yeah.
And you know what? That's the seed that Beckham planted. They exist.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of getting the guy in the front office that can find those players that want it, right? Cristiano could have been one of those guys. But, that one can't really match that deal. I don't even blame him for going over there.
Go ahead, Edgar.
The one thing I wanted to get to was that a year ago, we had the protests, and we're seeing the fruits of that now, right? Galaxy's doing things they haven't done in a long time, and it's like be adventurous, and the way that they're looking for players and actually recruiting and having like an actual strategy about how they're doing it, and it's pretty successful so far. We'll address it later, the whole rumor about Joseph Paintsil, but even if that doesn't work through, there's backups for that, right? They have something they can fall on, so they don't just put all their eggs in one basket. But all of this wouldn't be like it is right now if the fans hadn't been so vocal about it and made such a fuss and caused upheaval in the front office. And then as the season was ending, attention started shifting over to some of the other clubs, and one of the most visual representations of disgust from the fan base was going on over there in Colorado with the fans. And I know you, Matt, you and I have had a lot of discussions about this, but fans were really, really upset there, right? Can you describe to us, for the people that aren't familiar with what's going on, how bad things got over there, and what has happened during this offseason to where we are now, where we're talking about like almost like a renaissance for the Rapids?
Yeah, no, really good question, Ed. Everyone was kind of in agreement that like the status quo was no longer going to be acceptable, and something drastic and visual needed to be done in order to actually get the attention of a mostly absentee owner. And so there's a lot of people, and I'm not a member of C38, so this decision was made by them and leadership. But so there was a long-standing discussion in years past where things didn't go great, or if you look at 2016 to 2017, where the team makes the playoffs, could have won the Supporter Shield on the last day, loses Seattle in the conference finals. We're in a position to host MLS Cup that year. And then 2017, bad year, players depart, you fire the head coach. And then same thing, 21 to 22, and now into 2023, a similar trend as well of building up and then tearing down and then pointing the fingers elsewhere, and then ownership not really spending. And so that cycle needed to be interrupted, and something big needed to happen in order to interrupt it. And where previously the supporters from well, should we make a banner saying fire the coach? Should we hire one of those prop planes to say, tell KSC to tell the team, how do we go about doing about that? And this is the first time that everyone in the supporters group, regardless of how different they are, as a mostly unified supporters group, if you compare it to it being 3 or 4 different organizations within the LA Galaxy, if you get a member of Riot Squad, get somebody from Angel City Brigade, and get somebody from the Galaxians together. And if you got all 3 of them to agree on doing what was done for Chris Klein, then okay, it's so bad that everybody's on the same page about what needs to be done. And so that led to then the presentation in the game against New England, which was the first home game after Robin Fraser was, for me, still unfairly fired. And I think ownership took a note. You combine that with the open letter from the supporters group. You combine that with just the team getting dunked on by everyone in the final 4 months of the season. And somewhere in there, something resonated with Josh Kroenke to where he's like, okay, what do you need? We're going to get the right coach for us, which we think is going to be Chris Armas, and let's try to do some good stuff in the market locally. Let's try to bring a few guys back from Europe. Let's get on the phone, see if Sam Vines wants to come back from Antwerp, and then here's 2 or 3 medium-sized checks, and then here's the biggest transfer fee in club history, north of $3 million, south of $4 million. It's a big deal for the Rapids. It was 9 years ago for Juan Ramirez, $2.7 million. I realize that's peanuts compared to some of the checks the LA Galaxy have written in the past, and now you're building a team to where it's KSC has spent so much money in this offseason. You have to believe Josh Kroenke saw that and was an empty supporters section, people complaining about how 12-year season ticket holders since 1996 are not renewing unless KSC makes changes. We have to do something. And so to your point, Ed, if we look back at just a few days ago with Gavin Wilkinson being in that role for Sporting Kansas City for 8 days, the message I would have to every single supporter listening to this is your voice matters. And if you get it out on the right platforms, and if you guys are unified in something that you want to see change in your club, and you take action, you can force those people in leadership to do that. So if there was an open protest to where Christian Pulisic had to come sit there and get yelled at by the supporters, and then you did all of that, and then all the stuff on social media, and I'm going to feel bad saying this because I might be speaking something into existence. USMNT Twitter, if you guys could stop bickering amongst each other and get unified and all agree to go to a middle of nowhere friendly that's not fun and do something organized to dunk on the organization, you could get Greg Berhalter fired.
Out of this. Yeah, hell yeah,
really
100%.
Wanted to. And so, you have the power to do that. And Galaxy fans, you did it, and your club's in a better position. I'm still not sure. I think Will Kuntz is figuring some stuff out. I'm still not sure about the roster build. It seems like a lot of players from different areas. I'm uncertain about a new front office person coming in and then having an incumbent head coach who I don't think has a lot of credibility in terms of whether or not Greg Vanney's still staying, or is this a rebuild that is then going to start a new cycle that's probably under a new head coach, and the goal is to win for 2025. But you have to feel better right now than you did about the Galaxy a year ago. Rapids fans, I can't find a single Rapids fan who's less excited now than they were 4 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago. And there's a bunch of Sporting Kansas City fans who have to be absolutely relieved that someone who actively harbored, a domestic abuse people or workplace violence against women like was not there. And so yeah, you have a voice and you can enforce change within your club that is in line with your expectations as a supporter, as a paying contributor to the entity, and as someone who wants your club to embody your values. And the Galaxy have done that, and the Rapids have done that, and everyone else in Major League Soccer should take note when something like that makes them think something at our club needs to change.
Yeah, and it's a triggering effect. Yeah, woo, let's go. It's a triggering effect.
I also wanted to bring up another thing was that since we're talking about all the different MLS clubs that are going through a difficult time. You mentioned them earlier, San Jose. San Jose Earthquakes. They're going through a very weird time where, um, yeah, they have a nice little stadium. It's not the greatest, and they probably deserve something better for themselves, right? And then you look at who their owner is, and you look at what he has done to the fan base of his baseball team, and how he gutted, the city of Oakland, and now he's moving them to Las Vegas. I'm talking about the owner of the Oakland A's, and there's even talk about how he wants to bring his baseball team to Salt Lake City to play a few years because the stadium in Vegas isn't going to be ready anytime soon. So who knows? One day this guy wakes up and he's like, you know what? Oh, I do own a soccer team. And you know what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna move these guys to Vegas too.
You've heard, Ed, because games being played in the summer, even with night games, they're going to have to build a dome. It's going to have to be a domed stadium that the Las Vegas A's are eventually going to move into. Would you not make a modular? Could you make it in a way to where you could have like a better setup than Yankee Stadium? Like, yeah, like it's a valid question. Like, is it going to be the Las Vegas Earthquakes at some point?
Weird name.
Yeah, I wish I could say I feel bad for the Smurfs, but
Yeah, no,
don't.
I kind of feel bad for them because they lost their club before, and that really hurts because they're one of the historic NASL teams, and then they got them back, and yeah, they have one of the more bellicose, more aggressive fan bases in the league, but when LA Galaxy was going through the whole clan out stuff, they actually had our back, and they were supporting us during that, and that's why I always say, MLS is like a family, except for those trolls down, up to 110. But you know, it's just you start looking around the league and you're like, okay, where is it that we need to place more attention? Where is the league hurting? Because like you said, if one of us rises, everybody goes up at the same time. But we're trying to make sure that we all stay stable. Um, San Jose is one, and then I heard I was
But
hearing rumblings about some other
just to
teams.
clear things up though, like because Matt touched on something earlier, it's not
Yes,
necessarily the cities; it's the owners, right? Because like,
yeah.
let's face it, if no disrespect, if you're a fan from Ohio, but if they can figure it out in Ohio, Chicago can figure it out. Houston recently is figuring it out, started
Yeah.
figuring it out. Definitely Colorado can figure it out, right? So it's not necessarily a city thing. In my opinion, it's just an owner thing, right? Who's actually invested? Who actually cares? Who didn't just see a paycheck? Who wants to, make it work? But
It can work.
yeah,
You know why, Eddie? I'm gonna draw a comparison here because I traveled a lot across the United States, and two of my favorite cities to visit are Charlotte and Denver. And I see there's a lot of comparisons. I know Charlotte's in the South, but Charlotte, the city itself, is pretty cosmopolitan. And I see a lot of Charlotte in Denver. They're both beautiful cities. They have a lot going for them. Places you could definitely raise a family and enjoy life. Uh, they're they have big football stadiums. I'm talking about NFL stadiums, and the owner of the Panthers, who ended up buying Charlotte FC, decided to put his team in there. And at first, you're like, this looks kind of stupid. This team probably deserves it. But you know what? They actually fill up that stadium, and they have a very passionate fan base for as young as they are. And I'm thinking, why couldn't Denver have this? And this is where we go back to the whole, how is this team being marketed? Because the last time I was in Denver, I went around the entire region looking for any kind of sign that the Rapids exist. And I mean, I was in the airport. I went to all the sports stores. I was walking around the downtown area, and the only thing I saw was like a small little billboard with Tim Howard on it in some corner of the city where nobody can really notice it. And I felt kind of bad as an MLS fan because I'm like, I want to see, our brothers in Denver do well, and I want to see that they're they have a footprint, in their market. And I'm thinking, how can we get the Rapids to that level of like a Charlotte FC where they're selling out and they're actually filling up a giant bowl in their stadium. And what do you think? Could that ever happen, Matt?
I think
I'm-
the
I-
Vegas Rapids have a ring to it.
Oh no!
Wait, what? Repeat that?
What?
Listen, I think the Vegas Rapids have a ring to it.
No, don't do that. Hell no.
Burgundy Wave and Holding the High Line we are not going forth with MK Dons if there's a relocation involved. We're not moving to Vegas. We like Colorado. It's a really good point, Ed. Like, I think if they did a better job marketing, if they funded a team, I think if they had, clearly an identity on the field, that I think they've done a good job with resonating with Colorado in terms of hard work, being incredibly fit, staying together, like those kind of like big picture ideas. They've got a lot of Colorado players. They've got a diverse group of players, with a Latinx influence certainly. But yeah, like marketing is something that they've struggled with. And look, it's a tough space right now for an MLS original that is very clearly fourth amongst the pro teams, because even though the Broncos have missed the playoffs now, I think 5 or 6, every single year is just a new record for most number of years in a row without missing the playoffs, they immediately take up half the oxygen of the room. And you've got the hockey team and the basketball team who've both won titles most recently. And then you have one of the top 10 celebrity college football coaches just up the road in Boulder as well. And then on top of that, I know you guys don't particularly know that a whole lot about it, but if you're into the hockey scene in Denver, you're not just an Avalanche fan. The University of Denver, the Pioneers, are a top program, and they've won a national championship. I think they've been to the Frozen Four twice in the last decade, and they've won a national championship in the last decade as well. So it's a crowded sports market in terms of the number of teams, the number of different things going on throughout the season, throughout like the entire 12 months on the calendar, and so that is difficult to deal with. But yeah, they could do a better job of marketing it. The stadium location isn't great. It's not terrible. The drive, if you're going from downtown Los Angeles to Carson, California, is worse. Morning Kansas City is out near the racetrack on the edge of the suburbs, and they don't have any problem selling out Children's Mercy Park. But yeah, the club has done a job fixing of what's wrong with it on the field. The off-field, the community side of it, engaging with the Latinx community in particular. It is a lot of white suburban families out there at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. That side of it, the human, the emotional side of the club, still needs some tender love and care. And I don't know that we're going to get that before the end of this offseason. Hopefully that's what gets addressed next, and hopefully that was something, because it's like, okay, like the players deserve better. Check. You haven't, and you're starting to address the fans deserve better. I think there's still the badge, which kind of unites all of that that KSC still has to deal with, as well.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate when people who are in charge don't take into consideration what the fans feel. And to Edgar's point about like the whole movement that happened with fans being displeased with our club and it trickled down to everybody else, that's a big movement. And finally, we're getting heard. And it's a beautiful thing. Let's talk about some leaked third kits.
Oh yeah. Have you guys heard anything?
Sorry, that was the wrong one.
I know why you're doing the sad horn. And we'll get that. But first, I just want to ask: have you seen anything yet, Matt, regarding
Are
Colorado?
you guys' side? Have you guys seen any third kits unveiled from your side?
I don't believe that the club has a third kit planned. There's a leaked one that was like a burgundy shirt that had this weird like highlighter green stripe, and then it was end up founding to be a an artist making like a concept kit of like let's take like an old color of a club and then putting it in so it had the old like original Rapids green. So I don't know what like the equivalent for the Galaxy I suppose would be bringing back like the OG crest and then like the yellow and the green together, going full Galaxians on the third kit. But the things that I've heard is that it's going to be a burgundy shirt for the primary kit again, but it's going to be the least like some of the other ones, and there's going to be another club initiative behind it that is very, very Colorado. Two away kits ago, you'll remember the like super light green. That was a Colorado 14ers initiative that was helping with like environmental preservation and hiking education and ecology. And then now the light blue fun kits that was made by a local street artist here in Colorado has a mental health component to it. But let me Google. I have not seen this new leaked third kit. What's it look like, guys?
Well, there's two kits that are floating around right now. The first one is like supposed to be the new home kit, which is a supposedly it's like a white one that has it's very very basic. It's white and it has like gold stripes on the shoulders, and has the badge, and that's practically it. And then there's the third kit, which you mentioned, the 96 one. And from what we've been hearing, it's supposed to be a tribute to the 96 kit, which, but, you know, it was half black, half teal with red highlights on the shoulders and across the front, instead of having the sponsor logo, from what I've been hearing, all the third kits are going to have like a city name or a team name across the front. For the LA Galaxy is going to say Galaxy.
Which is very important because we're not big fans of the Herbalife sponsor in front of the jersey. That Galaxy though, how UCI sees, I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen. Oh, that's beautiful. It is. Yeah, and it's very modernized, which I like. It gives it a very sleek look, and it's very fashionable. If it is,
but it has like the 96 logo where it was like rather than having the crest, it was almost like like the hockey jerseys or like a baseball jersey would have, like how the Rapids had the big like the flowing like the avalanche wave going on. And so like this is what that like reminds me of and everything. And I thought that was a really nice touch if you were choosing to not have a shirt sponsor, particularly if it was a multi-level marketing.
Yeah, and then going back to the Rapids, you guys had a very cool uniform with just the Rapid signs and the little wave on it, the old school one.
Hold on, though. I don't want to go too far from what we're talking about, that jersey. So one thing that Footy Headlines put out, and Footy Headlines doesn't just put anything out, by the way. They said that the third kits this coming season will not have the sponsors in the front, but instead will have the team names. I mean, that's pretty
Which
crazy.
Is beautiful. I like that.
I mean, it's crazy. How does that even work? Like, how do you approach the sponsors? Like, do you get a refund? Did they get a refund for every game? No, I'm serious. Like, for every game that they don't wear the name in the front.
Do they get a portion of the third kit sales? Maybe then.
No,
maybe.
You're laughing, Brian, but it's true, right?
No, yeah,
how does
maybe.
It work?
Yeah.
Edgar? No, guys, I'm sorry to like rain on your party, but it turns out that they're gonna go back to the 96, where like they're gonna have, like you said, like, you know, the name on the front, and the sponsor is gonna be on the back, probably underneath the player number. And that's why it wasn't, you know, in those early years of MLS. You go back and look at all the uniforms, they had, you know, some kind of design or name or something across the front, and the sponsor logo was usually on the back, underneath the numbers. And I think that's how they're gonna do it with these third kits. Matt, you mentioned how, you know, that the new kit might be, you know, have this kind of design, and I would love to see the Rapids go back and bring back one of those old designs from the early years, because I thought they were pretty cool. You know, it was different. It was different from what we saw in the rest of the league, but it wasn't ugly either. It was
unique.
Cool.
Hold on.
I mean, I think
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. The league, I think certain teams have done a really good job of honoring and respecting their history, and then like doing that from like a merch standpoint. So like Kansas City, like bringing back like the KC Wiz stuff like once a year is fun. Like and embracing like how horrible the Wiz branding was at the time, and like how timeless it is now. Like on some level, I have to respect the Galaxians, who are like we are original green and gold in that regard. And there hasn't been a lot of like retro or like back from the Time Vault merch that the Rapids have done with either the old green or the green and black or the I don't know how you would do the blue and black now because so many other like Montreal's done it, the Quakes have done it and everything.
Yeah.
Like that's not ours in that regard. But yeah, like bring back some of the green stuff. If you were to do a third kit, do the green. And then if there was anything I would comment on the burgundy for the primary kit and everything is I don't think the Rapids have done a very good job of highlighting that blue is their primary, is their secondary color. There are many new MLS fans with expansion teams who are under the impression that the Rapids were the colors were burgundy and white rather than burgundy and blue. And so there's a really good, they've done some fun stuff with the socks with 2 or 3 different colors. They've had the shorts be blue as well. I'd like to see some blue accents on the burgundy shirt and still have it be burgundy in ways that I feel like the Galaxy always did when you guys were doing the sash for like the better part of a decade. Like the sash always had something fun and was different, and like when there was an opportunity to highlight one of the colors or another design that wasn't in the rest of the branding or anything, the sash was the palette in which to was the tapestry or was the canvas in which to do that. And so you could do something like that with the Rapids in ways that I think that's been a missed opportunity for the club. And if they do that, I think they'll hit it out of the park.
You know
I
what
think
would
if
be like
you guys
super
do
obscure
that-
in my opinion for you guys is those green Kappa surf bodysuit.
Yes.
looking jerseys.
Yes.
That's
Those
fire.
ones-
I have Rapid
those
That's
are the ones.
amazing.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would love
they-
that.
Rapid man. Oh, Harry's gonna go get his.
Oh, let's go get it. He's about to go get it. So the thing about the third kits, the stuff that we've seen online is very promising. But knowing Adidas and knowing the contract that MLS has with Adidas, these are going to be just simple templates of unoriginal graphics on a plain Adidas jersey. We haven't had, well, aside from the
Oh,
tech
look at
green,
that.
we haven't. Look at that.
Wow.
That's beautiful,
Yes.
dude. That's
Make
beautiful.
this like literally bring this back, update the materials and everything. You could you could do like a green version of the new crest if there's some copyright issues with this or whatever. But yeah, like bring this back as the third kit and it will sell out the first home game that it is in the team shop. Assuming that the
Rapid
pre-order
Man
doesn't sell
wearing
it
it.
out.
100%
Have
that
Rapid
shit will
Man
sell out.
show up the
Yes.
stadium wearing it.
It's a beautiful
Absolutely.
jersey. To be honest, it is. And a lot of those retro jerseys have that uniqueness to them. Look at that.
Look at that.
It's a unique. Same thing with us. All 96 originals have had elite retro jerseys. You cannot
Yeah.
say any of them were whack. Even with the Dallas
Yeah.
Burns, where they had the horse with the fire out the mouth. That shit was cool. I thought that shit was really cool.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay
Like, I know
Mutiny, and all these other clubs that we've seen come up with the 96 clubs, they've been very unique. Might not be everybody's style, but the retro of that and just how you have that one, it's
I challenge you, Brian.
yes.
How about the opposite? What about the worst MLS jersey you ever seen? You can't say LAFC one.
jeez.
That's a cop out.
The worst one
The worst.
Ooh.
up to date.
The
Okay.
Austin like glitch thing that like looks like a
Yeah.
QR code
Oh, I
from
liked
this year.
it.
That was the worst
No.
kit from this year for me.
I got you.
That thing is
The
ugly,
Rebels smog fucking green and yellow, whatever they had. That was disgusting.
Oh, the one that
Okay.
looked like it got dipped into the
yeah,
Hudson.
into
They
some
brought it up with
smudge.
toxic
That was
sludge.
gross.
I got one for let's see how good your memory is. I know Edgar will remember it. When I want to say 2006, when the LA Galaxy announced Herbalife as a sponsor, they threw a bumper sticker on the jersey.
Yes.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
LA Galaxy
so
had it just
bad.
I think it was like the second or
home
third
and
year
away.
Galaxy was using
Ugh.
Adidas, and they had this Adidas template which had the Los Angeles Galaxy word crest across the front. And as soon as they announced Beckham was coming and Herbalife was part of the deal, they just grabbed like literally they put like a bumper sticker on top of those shirts, and it looked so tacky, it looked so ugly, and it just ruined the good shirt. And I know some people collect them as just as an oddity, be like, yeah, look at this collector's item. But you look at the shirt, you're like, oh, it's not
Yeah, it's
good.
one of those. Damn.
I
that
know
sucks.
we were dunking on them earlier on in the show, but like if you were to bring back like the white and horizontal stripe like San Jose Clash shirt as like the Goonies, like the Quake's third kit, like that would be sick.
That would be
They would
sick.
appreciate that. I think every single, even though I think the only branding that I thought from the MLS original teams that was uglier was the Kansas City Wiz. And so but like if you were to bring that back, like you would literally have every single fan of an expansion team being like, "What is this? Oh yeah, I remember that thing existing. This is so weird." And then every single fan of a '96 team would just be like, "Hell yeah!"
It's elite. Dude, I think all the 96 kids are elite, to be honest. It was very unique to MLS. That's what it was. MLS did its thing, put the stupid names in the front, like Kansas City Wiz. Dude, they had the Wiz with the rainbow. Dude, it was tight. I love that shit. We don't see that shit no more. I love that shit.
Was it 96 Wizards?
No,
Was it the
Wiz.
Wizards?
It was the Wiz.
No, it was the
It was the
Wiz.
Kansas
Yeah.
City Wiz. It was the Wiz, and then there was a electronics store out in New York that was called The Wiz, and then they sued Kansas City Wiz, telling them how dare you call yourself- we were here first, when electronics store, and so then they sued them, and the Kansas City Wiz had to rebrand as the Wizards, which was
Yeah.
kind of sad for Galaxy fans because we used to say let's piss on the Wiz, you know. So.
That's a very fun fact.
And then, dude, you remember
Wiz
the
on the
Metro
Wiz.
Stars, the Metro Stars kids? That was a very great looking kid. The Metro Stars, they were
Yeah.
good.
Do you see that the picture of Alan Gordon there with the bumper sticker across the front?
Oh yeah. Do you have
Yeah,
you putting something on screen, Eddie?
I know Mac can see it.
Oh,
but
look at that jersey. That's a bump. Ugh.
the
Why
bumper
did we
sticker.
have that? To be honest,
Yeah, I don't know.
that is gross.
Look, Alan Gordon doesn't look happy.
He never looks happy. Anyway, there's been some stuff going on with journalists. There's been some stuff with Sports Illustrated. There's been some stuff with the LA Times. Edgar is a very respectable journalist. Matt, you as well. What are your thoughts about what's going on in journalism in general?
I mean, if one of you guys can elaborate on
Yeah.
what's going on, it'd be great too.
Hey, I'll start real quick because I was just mentioning that to some of the people in our group chat, which is um, Sports Illustrated just laid off. I mean, they laid off everybody. They were gutted completely, and there were rumors that there's some of the articles were going to be written by AI, and you start hearing that, and all of a sudden, writers' jobs, because as writers we're creatives, right? I mean, whether it's you're writing and just something that's just factual information that you're reporting, or whether you sit down and you're expressing your own opinions, you have to be creative in the way you're going to present this and form it and shape it. And then you start hearing that artificial intelligence could sit there and do something better than what you're doing, a human being. How dare you, right? But that's starting to go on. There's some rumblings about that. And then meanwhile, the LA Times, they're going through some issues with their ownership, and apparently there's going to be massive layoffs in the LA Times, and they're not letting a lot of the writers know what's going on, and the writers feel like, hey, can we have some transparency here? You're talking about laying people off. You're not even giving us an idea of what could happen to us. At least let's give us time to prepare. So all the LA Times writers walked out. It happened a couple of days ago. One of the
Is Baxter gone then? Was he in that? Ed?
Baxter is one of them.
Wow.
Out. And so it's a really big deal. I mean, Baxter doesn't know if he's going to have a job or not. I mean, that's how bad it is. And he's a respected journalist,
100%. Yeah.
And so somebody asked me this question also last week, was about journalism and how I viewed it. I said, I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I felt like journalism has been dying a slow death since 9/11. A lot of it has to do because of the rise of fake news. Fox News, for example, is a big proponent of it. They're not real news. They're entertainment in news, or whatever you want to call it. And they pander to a specific audience that wants to hear lies wrapped in in truth. And you could give anybody that has a camera and a microphone attention, and they will tell you what you want to hear. And you can, they will call themselves a journalist, but they're really not. There's people that work really hard at what they do to be good, responsible journalists and give you facts and information that isn't made up, that is based in real hard work and actual news. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. So,
No, you're good.
but Matt,
You're good.
maybe Matt, you can bounce off of this as well because I know you work really hard at what you do, and that's why we have you here because we have a lot of respect for what you do.
Yep.
I've seen to your
100%,
articles, I
bro.
read them, from time to time, and when you hear about what's going on in other corners of journalism, you begin to start looking over your own shoulder, and you're like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, the industry is hurting on the whole. This isn't just specific to sports journalism or even just specifically to soccer journalism. It is harder to monetize this content with how spammy and clickbaity stuff is, and then the way that just the ad revenue structure has reformatted in, the new iterations of the internet. And so that's made it to where fundamentally it's all about clicks. And so then the only good writer is the one that's necessarily getting attention. And unfortunately, with the way that our brains work and the way that the internet and the algorithms feed us stuff and everything, that doesn't necessarily mean the cream doesn't necessarily rise to the top. It's the stuff with the most sensationalist headlines that maybe isn't particularly well written. And, like there's a site that I used to write for a little bit that I don't write for anymore. I haven't for a while, that now effectively has become a rumors blog. And the way that the editors talk about what they're doing is writing a headline that is catchy, but also ambiguous in a way to where somebody has to click on it thinking that like something happened in the last 30 minutes that they missed. And so you see this on like you open your standard web browser. There's a lot of stuff I have to do for the day job where we have to use Microsoft Edge as opposed to preferably Google Chrome. And so, the MSN news headline comes up or whatever. And so like now that Tom Brady is doing like media stuff, it'll be like you won't believe what Tom Brady is saying about his football career. And I saw that and I was like, did I miss something on Twitter in the last 5 minutes? Like, did Tom Brady saying that he was coming out of retirement? This was months and months ago. This could have been this time last year for all I remember. And it was just like, no, it was like him commenting on like one thing about one player where like he agreed with the Patriot way, even though some of the stuff that he had said subversively now suggests that he and Bill Belichick didn't have a great relationship and that he was tired of the situation 3 years out. And obviously now in the aftermath with Bill leaving the New England Patriots, now I think we can say that Tom Brady was more important for the 6 or 7 Super Bowls than that. And so just an extremely ambiguous headline of you won't believe what Tom Brady just said about his career was the front page written by, staff at MSNBC because that's what was getting clicks. It was 200 words. It barely said anything. It didn't answer any questions or whatever. I wouldn't even say it was real journalism. It was, let's get a catchy headline in order to get clicks and let's write the minimum amount of words in order to satisfy SEO so that we can optimize the search engine so we get up on Google so that we get more clicks and everything. That's now what's making money. To turn this into the soccer...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, and so to turn this now from the soccer side and everything, it was this time last year that, myself and a bunch of other people who were working at sites at SB Nation found out that, that SB Nation was no longer going to be supporting soccer. And look, the rest of us have, most of us have gone on to continue. We're not making the kind of money that we did. We're having to, instead of focus on writing about soccer and doing that coverage and everything, we're having to focus on how do you build out a website? How do you handle WordPress? All the other stuff that ancillary that the copyright editors and the SEO people and the website designers were handling. Now we have to do that, and that takes time and money. And so it's just this type of content now locally where someone's asking the question of someone who's deeply embedded in the club and knows what to ask, creates the quote, which turns into the information, which informs stuff on the national level. How many of these big talk shows that you have, whether it's First Take or Undisputed, turn an entire segment into one statement that one person at an NFL team said that was based on someone who's there every single day, every single practice, asking the right question in the right way to elicit that response. The bottom of that pyramid has never been more important. It's never been harder to monetize that bottom of the pyramid, and it's also extremely spread out to where it's entirely dependent on you interacting with the club rather than on a national basis. And so that's not working, and soccer is still in a small space. And fundamentally now, with the way that stuff's going monetarily, the only way for the best and the easiest way for these content creators to get compensated for their work is for putting stuff behind a paywall or literally having people donate to them rather than the other ways and sponsorships and stuff that you could have. And so, Ed, we could parlay this into now with the way things are, with the fact that American soccer and MLS is still very regionalized in certain areas in terms of its coverage. You are not so much interacting as a major news outlet with a league, but individual smaller outlets with a team that has more control. And so we found out that there's some reporters who've covered Chicago Fire in the past who are not. There's a question about their media access or credentials possibly because of some of the negative coverage that they've had in the past, and that's something that MLS teams largely it can get away with, have done. I wasn't able to confirm this, but in the early years of Orlando City, with them having like a young college town as well, there were so many people interested in starting a blog that basically they went through all the ones that applied for credentials and then gave media access to the ones that were the most flowery and the most positive. And so if you were constructive, if you were critical of the team, you didn't get any credentials. I've heard that from people who've covered Orlando. I can't speak to the truth of it, and this would have been 7 or 8 years ago that was happening. And so the Rapids had an incident the year before I started covering the team. There's a Deadspin article that should still be live, so if you Google Colorado Rapids training Chris Bianchi, it should come up, where he was part-time covering for MLSsoccer.com, and then he was a weatherman. He's now professionally a weatherman as a full-time job, and he was critical of the team in an article that was published on MLSsoccer.com, and someone in the front office of the Rapids didn't like that the site, the paid, the state-run media was being critical of the club, and it's not clear to me how this happened or who was actually responsible for it, but that ended up leading to Chris Bianchi leaving MLSsoccer.com. And the wider narrative, which is a maybe oversimplified and not all of the truth, was that basically that Rapids FO person complained to Don Garber, complained to the managing editor of MLSsoccer.com, who I believe would have been Simon Borg at the time, and got a writer fired for covering the team. And then after that, there was so much of a hullabaloo and everything that the Rapids straight up closed practice. Media members could not get to practice, and so the only time that you spoke to anyone from the club was the head coach and one player after home games for no more than 5 minutes combined. And the club's had a few other missteps in the time that I've covered them, but they've been very delicate and very intentional about not coming off anything of like what happened with that situation, to show that even when things are critical, even when the media is getting called out because we're not asking tough questions, even when the fans are actively protesting and everything, that they are open and available to the media to show that they're not hiding from that, or they're not trying to restrict or inhibit the First Amendment. To say nothing of the fact that no one makes any money on covering the Rapids because the Rapids don't get clicks.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part, because I think the people that get affected the most, aside from the actual people who pay attention to the team and write about it, is the fans. Because it's such a niche market, especially in MLS, that you want your fans engaged if you want to grow the sport in this country. Now, with all that you just said, dude, it sucks that you cannot, how do I say this, be straight up with any like as us. Like, we have a certain demeanor to our podcast, like you, like with us, and we don't get taken serious just because we're not actual journalists, quote unquote. And so people tune into us just because they want to hear the real stuff. And when you take away, like the LA Times, when they're firing actual journalists who want to tell the story about the team or certain players, it kind of diminishes the growth of the sport in this country. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
100%.
That's just why, like, a lot of times when I talk to guys like Matt, or talk to guys like JT and Leah in Charlotte, or Tyler and the rest of the guys in Atlanta, and some of the other wonderful podcasters out there. I tell them, what you guys are doing is so important
Yeah, it
because
is.
we're chronicling the history of this league in a manner which is not curated by some guy, in some corporate office somewhere who, is telling you it has to be a certain way and you can't say these things. No, we're being completely honest. And I mean, Matt, you maybe you're familiar with this. There's some of us. I'm talking about our our group of us podcasters, right? Some of us that have a lot more freedom to say what we want to say, and then some of us aren't allowed to. Like for example, I know that Nick out in Chicago was talking about how he has to be he has to walk a fine line, right, with what he says with covering the Chicago fire, because if he upsets the wrong person, they're gonna take his credentials away. All right. Nathan up in Vancouver probably has the same issue where he covers the Vancouver Whitecaps, and if he was to upset the wrong person, no more credentials for him. But then you have fellas like out in Charlotte, and it's funny. I was watching their show over the weekend.
I love
They
those
had
guys.
the actual president of Charlotte FC on their show for like an entire hour, and they were just asking them whatever questions they wanted. Even the fans were asking questions, and these guys are in there like dropping f bombs and cussing, and they have like this feature where after the games they go outside the stadium and they do like live interviews with people leaving the stadium, and some of that stuff is wild. And the club president was saying, "Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about your show is that we get to
Thank
see
you,
the
because he
raw
gets
content."
it.
Yeah,
Yes,
He gets it, and he
yeah,
understands that that's something that's helping. Like on some level, Arsenal absolutely pooping the bed last year, and then Arsenal fan
TV. Yeah,
TV. Like on
dude,
some
it's
level,
amazing. I love it.
that is constructive for growing the fan base and like facilitating the community, even though winning the Premier League would have been better. So no, I agree with you, Ed. There's some people who have sensitive skin. I think there's some people who are trying to curtail criticism or the platform that and legitimacy that criticism gets in order to self-preserve themselves or in order to self-preserve the club. And yeah, there's some people who just straight can't take the criticism, and I agree that there's a way to go about doing it in a way that's constructive and fair. There's a way about going to it like completely off the deep end that is drunk supporter content, which is allowed to be there and everything. But there's a reason that the most intoxicated Rapids fan isn't the person interviewing Chris Armas the week before Christmas or anything. But you use the term fine line of almost like having to step on toes. I would almost view it as, Ed, you and I would say me more so, like we're not fans. I know who is it? Mark Fishkin in New York likes to refer to himself as a supporter reporter, but like fundamentally, like we're an intermediary and a conduit for information between the two sides. And so there's points where we get information on the inside of like, here's how it is at the club and everything. Here's why they're doing this. Believe it or not, like whether you agree with it or not, fans, like this is why Chris Armas thought it was the right idea to abandon his philosophy against Atlanta, and it led to them losing the Eastern Conference Final in 2018. And then at the same time, we're the conduit for like Porrick Smith. You can't just sit up here and say the head coach did a bad job and we're going to retool in the offseason and we still have some home games left and everything. Like the fan base needs you to here in this moment to take some accountability and say you effed up and you're working to be better, and if it doesn't work out, your job needs to be had. One of the things that I thought was extremely cowardice of Chris Klein, of the fact that, correct me if I'm wrong, at no point did Chris Klein have a public statement from technically being out of contract to quietly signing the new deal to then leaving the LA Galaxy. And the fact that he was always
Correct.
around there, but it was Greg Vanney that was like his shield for the platform of the media interaction for that, I thought was extremely cowardice in that regard. And that's the kind of stuff that we have to weed out. And it's people acting in their own self-preservation at the expense of the club, at the expense of the community, at the expense of the growth of the support. It's not the fault of the journalist, of the media person trying to get a credential, that the person who should be altering their behavior is not us. There's a way to be constructive about the criticism, and there's a way to be a rabble rouser that I think you would be, like me going into a press conference and saying like, Chris Armas, like WTF, like why haven't you resigned out of embarrassment for like failing the club and everything. That's not the way to go about doing it. There's an empathetic and human way to go about asking these sorts of questions. Like in the Ted Lasso episode where you had Isaac McAdoo, the captain, get sent off because of the homophobic slur, and then Roy Kent comes out. There's a million different ways that could have gone wrong, given the way that the AFC Richmond press corps is, and the way that Roy Kent is as a human and is with the media. And so that was a really good example of like how do you empathetically in the right way ask a question to elicit a response that actually leads to a conversation, not somebody getting yelled at and then being told you're not welcome back in the press corps and your credentials have been revoked.
Yeah, and that's what sucks about it, because as us that we want to portray our message to everybody who's like LA Galaxy fan, we can't be that direct, right? We talk our shit always, but we also have to realize that the people we're talking shit about are humans, and we can't, it's that blurred line where you can't step over. And I 100% agree with you with that. I also know that you're a big ass fan of what was the show called? Ted Lasso. Yeah, dude. The first time that we looked up your podcast, you guys started talking off about Ted Lasso, which is beautiful.
Yep, that's what we do,
and I loved it. Let's get into some.
We're not big Ted Lasso fans here in LA
I love
Galaxyland.
Ted Lasso.
No, shut up. In LA Galaxyland because they support LAFC.
Oh yeah, fuck those.
Yeah, Brendan Hunt, and then in the final. So you guys know about Zava, who's the Zlatan parody.
Zlatan.
So in the final scene of the finale. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't finished Ted Lasso, even though it's been out for over a year now. So Ted's at the airport flying back to the U.S. and he's at a newsstand, and then in the background there is like GQ style magazine interview, and Zava signs with LAFC, and his quote is, "The people love avocado toast in Los Angeles." So yes,
that's beautiful. We do though.
But I bet you because Brendan Hunt is a season ticket holder for LAFC, that's why he signed with. They didn't want to totally admit that he's Zlatan by saying that he signed with the LA Galaxy.
Yeah. Well, controversial. Nah. All right. Here's goes a question for you, Mr. Matt Pollard. What does success look like for your upcoming squad this season? And it's the same question for you, Edgar, after Matt answers. What does success look like to you for the Colorado Rapids?
Finish in the regular season to the point where you get a home playoff game. That could be hosting the wild card game. That could be playing at least the second of the series of 3 in the best of 3 round, assuming we have the same playoff format. And then I think I would love to see the Rapids actually advance in the playoffs, something that they have not done since 2016. That's, I think, what you want to see on the field. I think more so, I'm not going to say that it's more important, but similarly, where we talked about earlier about where there's a deficit in terms of where the club is failing the fan base and the community and the city of Denver and the state of Colorado, is I want to see a proper emotional connection and relationship between the club and the fans. And that's players to fan, that's coaches to fans. I think the front office has become more present in the last 6 months, and they've been front-facing and available for that criticism in a way that's been, that's starting to heal that relationship, or not get the sense that they are similar to Chris Klein, where he's hiding in his ivory tower away from the plebes, even though he's completely destroying the club. I'd want to see that a little bit more, and not just from Chris Armas and the Colorado natives. I'd want to see that to where I think the fans have felt like almost isolated from, or where the players and people around the club have been intentionally protected from the fans because of how toxic the things got. If we could get to, if the Rapids could play RSL in the first round as the home seeded team and get to that third game and advance to, I guess this would be the conference semifinals then, and have the club have every single player do a lap of honor around for a sold out Dick's Sporting Goods Park in late October, that'd be the best thing. That would be better than what the club did in 2016. And I think the only other thing that you could say playoff success wise that would have been better in club history than if that were to happen would be winning the cup in 2010.
Oof, Edgar, What is success for the LA Galaxy? Let's keep it real, though. Let's keep it real.
No, I mean it's interesting because we're coming up on like the fourth season with Greg Banny at the helm, and almost every year there's been some kind of issue going on where his plans just don't come to fruition. Right? We had the pandemic. We had recovering from that, and then we had last year, and for example, with so many injuries to the starting lineup, where it seemed like Galaxy was finally figuring things out, and then you had injuries just left and right to the point where 7 starters were missing at the very end. Ricky Puig had to be kept off the field, and it didn't matter. I mean, at the end, they were putting up like wax figures, on the defense because there's nobody left. So this is the opportunity to finally put up or shut up because there's no distractions with Chris Klein. Jovan Karofsky's gone. You have Will Kuntz working his ass off trying to put together a club that will be successful, and it's an opportunity for Greg Banny's quality to finally shine through. Now, a lot of people have been echoing this in some of the other Galaxy pods, which is how much leeway do you give them? And I said this earlier in one of our shows. I give them until the middle of the season. If I don't see any good signs that this club is headed in the right direction, give them the boot. And it's hard because then you'd have to start from scratch in the middle of the season. But you got to try and do something different at this point. And with Will Kuntz and a whole new front office running things, you still have the opportunity to salvage it. But as far as a measure of success, I would say, like Matt said, host a playoff game, and for us, at least get into the Western Conference Finals. Um, and but more importantly to me, not just on the field but off the field, give notice that the big dog in this region is the LA Galaxy and take the city back. A lot of people will say, no, 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 we're still the big dogs in the city. No, they're the ones, they won a cup, just a couple of years ago. And, they have a lot of attention. No, time to take the city back, take the whole region back and remind everybody that, it's not just 5 stars, but you're going for that 6th one and that this team matters and that, we are the LA Galaxy. Galaxy is a massive celestial body, and it's going to get a lot of attention. Bring the attention back to this club, remind everybody what this club's about, and take the helm back for for MLS, and let's head in the right direction and bring the Rapids along for the ride too. And
I'm in
we'll
with
run
that
into
one.
the Rapids in the Western Conference Finals.
Rapids Galaxy Western Conference Final.
Let's fucking go.
No.
I
Hold on.
I will be. That happens. I will be in Los Angeles, and we will.
You already,
we will break.
dude.
No, let's go.
You already
back.
know.
Let's
You
go
can
back.
come kick it with us. You already know.
Let's go back to those.
We're in.
Let's take it a step further. Let's go back to those crazy wildcard days where they were in opposite conferences, and we could have Galaxy Colorado final.
You mean when the Colorado Rapids hosted San Jose Earthquakes in the Eastern Conference Final?
Yeah, exactly. or when, and I was there. That was the first year I think I had season tickets. MLS Cup was Columbus versus New York Red Bulls
At the things.
at Dignity Health Sports Park because it used to be, or actually, the Home Depot Center because it used to be predetermined.
Yeah.
Home Depot Center.
Was
yeah.
that the cup that Siggy won with Columbus, right?
Yeah, Schelotto
Yeah,
was.
that's when we're
Schelotto, Chad
Schelotto.
Marshall.
Wozniak scored for for New York.
Oh yes. Not
Hey,
to go back to Edgar. Yes, no, or, all 3 of you. In a year's time, is Greg Vanny still the head coach of the LA Galaxy? Yes or no?
I'll give you this
I'll
one.
I'll go first.
Okay.
It's funny because Edgar mentioned that this is year 4 of Vanny, but what if the same question that Brian asked you, right? What does success mean to you this year? If he would have asked you on 4 years ago, year 4, where do you expect the Galaxy to be with Greg Vanny?
I would have said
Cup.
championship.
Yeah, hey, look, that's easy, right? So, no, just to be black and white. No, he will not be the LA Galaxy coach. Maybe even in the summer.
And I think Vanny's on a short leash, to be honest. I think Will Kuntz is going to come in. He has the iron fist, so to say. If Vanny does not perform, not even half a season. He'll probably be out first 5 games if he's not performing. And I wouldn't mind it. I've been very vocal about my so-called beef with Vanny. It's always tactical, never personal. If he doesn't have us in the first 5 games winning 3 of them, I would give him the boot. I think it's been far too long. Like Eddie mentioned, 4 seasons. Right now, it should be our championship season. We're nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. Why will we keep him around if the first 5 games don't go the way that we wanted to go? Which is
5 is, I mean, Matt, 5, even for a Colorado fan, 5.
no.
Kind of fast,
But you're
right?
playing with the LA Galaxy. You need to be
it's
performing.
5. No, I
at that
mean,
moment.
I don't even mean that disrespectful because Brian's trying to put Galaxy at a certain standard. 5 is.
It's a legit standard,
it's
though.
not telling, no, because so much could happen in 5. I mean, yeah. You could
Edgar,
be
what do you
you
think?
could be waiting for a lot.
If you win, Brian, you win. Let's say the Galaxy take back, they win El Trafico in just
We always do.
the regular season head to head. Okay, let's say win El Trafico.
playoffs.
Let's say win Open Cup and then like lose really close in the in like the conference semifinals, but like you feel way better about the rebuild at the end of this year than you do right now. Does that give you? Is that enough for you to say that Vanny should get your 5?
I think I've seen enough of Vanny for him not to succeed, especially with a front office who's going to give him the players for him to succeed.
You don't believe that he will be successful, even with how
want to.
many signings.
I
and
want to
rumors there
believe
are.
that. But if he's not,
But you do. But do you believe? Do you believe right now? The next
tough.
time the Galaxy lift a trophy, is Greg Vanny still the head coach?
no.
Okay,
I don't think so.
Ed.
I want to believe yes, but I'm a little biased because I've met Vanny when he was a rookie with the LA Galaxy, so I've gotten to see him grow up with the team and over the years and come back, a couple times, and so I have faith that he understands what the Galaxy way is like and what this team represents and what it means to the league. So I believe his heart is in the right place, and I want to see him succeed. I think that's the right thing to say. I want to see him succeed, not just for for him and for what he represents to the history of his club, but just for us as fans, as and the city and for all Galaxy supporters. Um, if, but if, like I said, if by the middle of the season we don't see those results, no, let him go. And I mean, sentimentality is one thing, but you have to show results. It's at the end of the day, right? Yeah, and that's the thing that matters. Do I see him being here at the end of the season? If Kuntz builds us a nice little club by the beginning of the season, yes, I do see him. But if it doesn't work out like that, then no. And it's time to move on. And Kuntz won't be afraid to do it because they're doing things differently now, and we're starting to see it. They're being more bold in the decisions that they're making for this club. And what more of a bold decision can you make than saying, you know what,
Karowski out.
thank you for trying, but we already have somebody in mind, and in fact, that we're building a club for this person. So yeah.
I know, Edgar, you said you followed Vanny, special place in your heart for Vanny, blah, blah, blah. But to quote 50 Cent, when you're broke, love doesn't get you on the bus.
That's true. That's true. And it's unfortunate because he's literally a club legend. And for him not to succeed here would hurt not just him as a coach who's been successful in MLS, but him just as a Galaxy player who has been here and seen the trajectory of the team and the legendary status that the LA Galaxy has, that he couldn't put them back on that level. That would suck.
Yeah, the one thing about Vanny that always gets me, and I always say this, is that when it seems like he's finally getting things going the right way, or he's he's like in a conversation with journalists, right, during the pressers, he'll start talking about like all the things that we're doing to make the club better, and then at some point, he always says something that leaves you shaking your head, and you're like, why did he say this?
Yeah,
It's the
it
same
is.
with the way he coaches, where you think he's doing well, and then he'll run into the Sounders, and he completely gets into his own head, and Schmetzer owns him, you know, and I feel like a lot of times he overthinks things and he outcoaches himself. And when things should just be kept a certain way, you know, simple, you know, simplify things. But no, he gets into his own mind and he gets like the wiggles or something. Like it's almost like Cabral running to that final third. You're like, yeah, come on, finish, finish, and then you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, yeah,
Cabral, huh?
it's a good question. Yeah, tell us about Kevin Cabral. Give us a Cabral update because
All
Nah,
roads
nah,
lead
nah. Hell
back
no.
to
Fuck
Cabral.
that. Ain't nobody want to talk about him.
He's alive. He's in training. He will not be a starter this year for the Colorado Rapids.
As a DP?
And he's
Damn, that's
still a
fucked up.
DP?
2 more years of this.
Oh my god!
God damn. All right. Well, we do have some questions on X and Instagram. So we'll start off on X right now. Elder Bar. Have we really upgraded, or we're so trash that we think the recent changes are huge?
By the way, I would also love Matt to give
Yeah,
his take
I was
on
gonna
every
say from
question
a-
too, because just the way that question was asked, like, are we so trash that us as Galaxy fans think these signings are good? How does it look from an outsider? I'm a realist, and again, I'm probably in the minority when I talk about like Yoshida and Cáceres being a facade, you know, or Fugazi, whatever. You know, they're not it. So I'm if you follow me, actually I don't even post this every day, but on our Galaxy chat, Brian, with the homies, I have a meme that where's Messi meme, and I put like I change it every day. I'm like, where's Peck? Where's Kuntz? I'm like, nothing's happening. I'm not excited about anything. So no. But anyways, from an outsider perspective, what do you think, Matt, about our signings? Probably the news is probably not even big enough to hit you guys.
Yeah, I liked Yoshida from what I saw from him last year. I feel better about where the club is defensively, just given where it was, I think, last year, and particularly how weak the club was on set pieces. So I feel better about that. I like the caliber of the type of player, the age profile, and then the money standpoint. That being said, it's a lot of big moves from guys from outside the league, and so I have to think David Goss theorem. They're going to come here. It's going to take some time for them to acclimate. And so, while I think the rebuild's happening in the right direction, I think there's going to be some going backwards before you go forwards in terms of just like the new guys gelling, getting used to the league, getting used to the club, getting used to each other. And then with Chicharito gone, Billy Sharp gone, who I was actually kind of surprised with. I thought he actually had a kind of a nice fit towards the end of the year. It's not clear to me who's scoring the goals. I think it's disappointing. I think it's obvious to me, so I'll say it. And if you guys strongly disagree, I think this is maybe this is you looking at Dejan Joveljic with blue and yellow eyes of just like he's not a starter who I think is scoring goals. He's at his best as a super sub role in order to have that. And in that regard, while I think the midfield's going to be great, I think the defense is getting better. I don't know who's scoring goals. I know who's scoring goals for the Rapids, and I'm way more confident of that than I am of the Galaxy attack right now.
Oof. That's actually a very big statement because the trust that we have had on Joveljic hasn't panned out.
What have I said though?
Yeah.
Because you
and I
mentioned
said it,
the
though.
rose gold glasses.
Fool's gold. Yeah.
And
Basically.
I said, and I've said time and time again, at least the whole since like last summer, midway through last season, trade him.
Nah, fuck that.
Trade
This
him.
is his year. Fuck that.
His value's high now. Trade him.
No, I said it too. I said it in one of our last shows. Like if this is another opportunity, a golden opportunity. Like last season, Chicharito was out, and Dejan shows what you got. Nada, crickets, tumbleweeds. So once again, as of right now, Dejan Joveljic is going to be there up top. An opportunity to have the offense focus on him, and maybe this time they can work the offense so it can funnel plays to him. And if we're like about halfway through the season and it's still bad, summer transfer window's there for a reason. Get him out.
Yep.
Get something for him while you still
But
can.
the thing is, it's the legit argument. It's the Alvarez. You really want to wait that long?
Sell
come
one.
on.
Sell high.
I mean,
How long is it gonna take you guys to learn? How long?
Let's give him a
Brian,
shot, man. The
Brian,
redemption
you
year.
that have known me longer than Edgar and been here since the legit thing. Have I missed?
You haven't.
No. The fucking
But one more season with
Hold
Jovic.
on. The
Let's go.
Zubaks, the Judds, dude, the McBeans. Well, McBean, maybe it wasn't that great. But I've
Jovic is
been
better than
involved
all
in
those
sports
players
so
you just
long
mentioned.
that I haven't missed you right now. Jovic is more valuable as a trade than he is as a Galaxy player.
I would agree with that. I think you'd have resale value in the league, and I think for the right club with the right profile. What'd you guys pay to get him? Do you know?
It was a couple mil, I think, but he fell under the U22.
The U22.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, I'm not sure if you're.
You still make
It'd have
money?
to be the right club, and it'd have to be. But in order to get like a substantial profit, I think his resale value in terms of what you would get in return and what you could do with that money, you'd be better off getting league assets than you would be just getting a straight transfer fee
Some
abroad.
location and an
And the fact that
fine.
they're keeping him means that Vanny and staff have legit faith in this man.
Then
I will have to
that means,
have it too.
And that means you have faith. What?
Are we gonna go back to this where we're gonna be wooden spoon winners again? Fuck.
Bryant, Dejan for Cabral straight up.
What's up?
We'll
Trade.
the
I'm
Rapids
down.
keep paying the salary.
I'm down. What's up?
All right.
Oh my God.
All right, Lil Casper 562. Thoughts on saving an open DP spot for the summer?
Yeah. Hey, I
Galaxy.
keep saying, guys,
It depends who,
I
right?
want to make it happen. I want to make it happen. Mbappe to Galaxy.
No.
Let me dream. Let me dream.
So one of the things that Kuntz mentioned on his interview this past weekend was him trying to get all the DPs and everybody that he wants on his team before the league starts. He mentioned that once you get every player that you want on your team, you consistently play them and have a certain camaraderie within the team. The summer transfer is either to bump your team to be a better team or to sign a big player. You don't do that, in my opinion, you don't do that in the summer just because you want to have everybody at that same time before the league starts, just because you want to get continuity and everybody in the practices and all that. No summer transfer window. I'm not down with that.
Nah, that's a loaded question because it depends who. Like Edgar, finish what you were gonna say and tell me you wouldn't save it.
Man, I want to see Mbappe in the club. Like I said, remember when I said one of the measures of success for this club would be to take the city back. What a wonderful way to do it by signing one of the most impressive, like standout players in the world, and Kylian Mbappe, who's not happy right now. He's not happy, and there's rumors that he might go to Real Madrid. He might go to the Premier League. Hey, why don't you go out and do something really spectacular and come to MLS and look at the splash that Messi had, right? And now he's bringing all his buddies over. Why don't you come over to LA Galaxy and you guys can have, he has the East Coast, you're gonna have the West Coast, and make this club like a huge monster club again. And I know Matt's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
No, I mean, but here's the thing though, right? Matt, I assume you're around our age.
22.
I'll
Yeah,
be 34 in May.
Yeah, you what?
22.
I'll be
22.
30. I will be 34 in May.
Damn, still
24?
yeah.
All right, cool.
Still, well, you're younger. than us.
34.
I heard 24. You're good.
I'm entering my mid 30s, but no, I was shaking my head. Ed. I think if the one thing that Mbappe doesn't have on his resume at this point is Champions League, and so he hasn't won MLS Cup either. So is Champions League, and so I think if he's leaving Europe to remove the opportunity to win UCL, I think he's purely doing it for monetary standpoints, and I have a hard time. I guess if we were having this conversation a month ago, I would have been convinced of it, given how many people want out of Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure. I think he's looking at Karim Benzema and Hendo as a cautionary tale. But I could see him being similar to Neymar, of just like let me go somewhere where I'm going to be treated hand and foot, get paid bank, and not have to pay any taxes in lieu of that. I think there'd have to be some other bigger project. You'd have to do way more selling and putting stuff in place, like how Inter Miami like pulled a U-turn on a cruise ship in order to get Messi in. And I don't know, with all the existing fluctuation and ownership the way that it is, as much as I think Will Kuntz is a good hire, that they are in position to be able to properly accommodate a superstar of of Mbappe's caliber, either of them really, to where they would be confident in signing there. I think there'd be other places that could offer it for Mbappe. I think if he's leaving Paris, I think he's going to Real Madrid. But I've thought that for 5 years.
Okay, but the point I was getting at when I asked your age, and I wasn't trying to offend you, but because I'm older than you, Edgar is like could be your dad. That's how old he is. But anyway, his point is like. To Edgar's point, it's like, why not do it again, right? The Beckham thing. If you remember the Beckham thing, it was like watching the news and hearing about it, going to buy the newspaper and reading about it. Like it was something crazy that it can never happen in this reality, right? So maybe Mbappe it would be even bigger move, and you can say what you want about him just having other motives for coming since he hasn't won CCL, but it's like, I mean, the Galaxy can become how else can you become the Galaxy again than pulling a move like this?
I think it's worth a call, and I think if you were able to pull it off, then I would say the Galaxy are back. I do not think right now yet that the Galaxy
they'd be back for
back.
the next decade. They'd be back for the next. Nobody can question the Galaxy again for the next 20 years, maybe. Because it probably wouldn't happen. Because I can't. If Mbappe signs, I can't guarantee it's good for his career. I can't argue and say that. But
it'll be great for MLS though.
It would be amazing for the MLS.
Hell yeah.
For Mbappe, maybe not so much, but MLS, yeah.
Yeah, he could go to they could do Space Jam 3 where it's soccer themed, and so he could drive from training to Burbank, and then they could film that in the Jordan bubble. So they could do that. How have we not? I know Zlatan's left and everything, but as soon as he signed for the LA Galaxy, I was like, Zlatan's going to be a Bond villain one day, and I'm still waiting for that to come into existence. But if Mbappe wanted anything like that from the commercial opportunities being there, I think the only other stuff that could be bigger would be at Real Madrid or going to the Premier League, and I don't think he would want to go to the Premier League. So that would be, you'd have to entice him on that. That there'd have to be that kind of a pull, and I don't know that we know that that's in place. Whereas, Messi's had real estate in Miami. It's a nice place, Spanish speaking and everything. He has a level of privacy and ability to go out and do things in ways that he didn't at Barcelona. He certainly didn't. He certainly isn't able to anywhere in Argentina or in Paris. So I think you'd have to appeal him to that. I think there'd also probably be appeal. I don't know if Mbappe likes the beach or anything, but I'd be willing to bet Mbappe could go down, I don't know, Redondo, Venice Beach, the Santa Monica Pier, and maybe only have a few people recognize him. And I think there'd be an appeal to that in the same way that Messi could take a picture, with his grocery cart full up at Publix, and he's not getting completely mobbed in that. And I think there could be an appeal to that, to where that would be worthwhile, or something that Mbappe could be considering, because he goes anywhere in France or anywhere in Europe, he's going to be mobbed everywhere that he goes.
That's if he's into that. Also, celebrity crush. Hey, give him a shot. Hey, who do you like? I heard you like Zoe Deschanel. I don't know. That's the first person that came to my mind. But that's why I just did.
If the Chiefs lose next week and Taylor ends up dumping Travis Kelce, then
let's go.
I think yeah.
You know what? Actually,
Taylor Swift at Dignity Health Sports Park. How crazy would that be?
We're missing a big thing here.
Yes.
I think Kim Kardashian is recruiting.
Get the fuck out of here.
She was out there.
Get the fuck out of here.
Hey,
Get the fuck
remember, Kim Kardashian did date a Galaxy player before.
Who?
He did. Aleko Skandarian. When he was with the LA Galaxy, he did.
No way.
Look it up. I know this because I was at Dove Magazine at the time, and we had just interviewed her, and she mentioned that she was going to go out with him. Aleko Skandarian.
That is the new market. How many of the new Galaxy Third kits that don't say Herbalife on it can you sell to girls who watch every episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
Let's throw a fucking E or whatever network the Kardashians are on now on our
I
jerseys,
think
and we're
they're
set.
on.
Yes.
What are they,
Yeah. The
Hulu?
new LA Galaxy shirt sponsored by her, like, whatever brand she has, or directly sponsored by Keeping Up with the
Oh,
Kardashians.
the makeup. One of them has makeup.
Okay.
Kylie. There you go.
There you go.
See, I'm with it. I know pop culture.
Keeping Up with the Galaxy.
Keep it up with
Yeah.
dude. There it is.
Yeah, Keeping Up with the
sells
Galaxy.
itself. It sells itself, dude.
And then all we need is AI, or we need a translator to do the French subtitles for all the people in France that are going to want to watch the behind the scenes with Kylian Mbappe.
But I have look at. I want to see his reaction. You said keeping up with the Galaxy. Here's the perfect like commercial, right? It's all like our old highlights, and like you get through the '96 ones in black and white, and us lifting our 5 cups because everyone mentions how it happened when we won. We won it when there was only 10 clubs, and it was like at one point the Galaxy was trying to keep up with the MLS, but all of a sudden everyone's trying to keep up with the Galaxy. There you go. Hire me, somebody, please. I'm just stalling here because I was trying to pull up the last question, but it worked. From Ananda Galaxian, we have 6 open roster spots, assuming 2 DP wingers slots being filled. Where is the opportunity area for this roster? What area are we still missing in terms of positions?
Well, the big glaring one is striker, man. That's what we were questioning what Dan would bring to his club in the following season, because there's no real guarantee that he's going to be the man to fill those shoes. I mean, like Matt said, he's great off the bench, but can he be the man? Can he be the guy to lead this team, scoring goals, getting fed left and right? We don't know. That's why I keep pushing for it, and I'm gonna make it a thing. Mbappe, baby, Mbappe. Sorry, Bryant, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, let's see Matt's opinion. We need an outsider. Brian is
Yes.
distracted, I think.
Forward and maybe defensive depth and everything. I know who your top 2 center backs are going to be. Jalen Neal's still around, right?
Yes.
For now.
Okay, so that's 3. What's going on at fullbacks? Because Raheem Edwards was okay for like 3 games, and then I was like, okay, this is not going to work out long term. And I know some of the young guys have left, so
we're banking on Alde, unproven left back.
okay.
My
Yeah.
opinion, unproven. I don't know.
But yeah, assuming that signings are coming with the wingers, with the guy in Greece, and then I think striker's the next most important role, and not just from a number standpoint, but from that your next striker signing has to be unquestionably the best center forward on the team.
Yeah.
home run, I hear.
Oof. I would think a creative center mid. I know Ricky Pooz has some of that status, but he's not a natural center attacking mid. I think the other Galaxy is missing that. If you have that, Jovic is fine at the center forward position. Especially if we're going to have 2 wingers who are going to give you service every time. With the Gabriel Peck signing, and then whatever signing they want to come on the wings, a center attacking mid would open up what Jovic could do and what the wingers could do. I think that's where we're missing. A center, a Juicy, so to say. A Mukhtar, so to say. That center attacking mid, right underneath the forward. That's what we need.
That's not gonna happen.
Fair assessment?
Sure, but it's not gonna happen. We've been asking.
but we're never going to go in.
So moving on to.
By the way, let's quickly address the Joseph Paintsil thing, because it's been a topic of discussion this whole week. As we heard, Galaxy was trying real hard to lure him over from Genk to over here to California. Right now, he's playing for Ghana and AFCON, which, by the way, there's some really good football there. If you don't get the opportunity to, it's on beIN Sports. Go watch some African Cup of Nations. It's some really good football there. Anyway, Joseph Paintsil, he's playing for Ghana. and Galaxy already put forth, their offer to buy him out, pretty much, and the ball, is in his court. I mean, it's in his hands, pretty much. And there was a tweet that went out that said that um, the manager of the team said, "Oh no, he's coming back. There's no way he's going to be leaving." But you know what? There still hasn't been an official word. So while I said, that the legs were cut out from this rumor, that this still could come crawling to LA, and be a thing. So don't give up on Painso. He, like I said, he's still in AFCON. He might, his mind's on that tournament. Once that's over, maybe he'll look at his options and be like, you know what? Yeah, let's go to LA. Let's do something different. If that happens, my God, this team would be so strong because you're gonna have Peck and Painso and Pooch, the three Ps, and then have Jovic, right there sandwiched in the middle. It's gonna be a very potent offense. I said it last time. It's be one of the most potent offenses Galaxy has had since the Robbie Keane, Beckham, Donovan days.
That's
So
a bold
hopefully that-
statement, to be honest, because that team won a championship in 2014. Multiple.
Yeah,
That's
and
all right.
hopefully they can get it happen. They can get it to happen. So let's see.
We're missing championships.
What do you think? You think that he's gonna come to Galaxy? You think he's gonna be like, no, I'm comfortable where I am, and I'm not gonna go ahead and move.
It's a game of chicken, I think. But does the chicken want to cross the road? And if a rooster lays an egg, does it go left or right? Anyways, on the roof, does it go left or right? Anyways, Instagram, moving on. 1310 Los. No more saying 5 stars. Now let's say vamos por el seis. Big team mentality. No excuses.
Ugh.
No, I don't even like the vamos por seis. I like the let's figure it out.
That's gross.
All right.
Logan Jones.
Do you speak Spanish, Matt?
Un
Sí.
poquito. Más despacio, por favor.
Yeah. Okay. So what he said was no more saying 5 stars. Now let's go for 6. Big team mentality. Like, let's start with let's go for playoffs.
Yeah.
Wasn't Race to Seis a...
No, we don't talk about that anymore.
We don't talk about that anymore?
No, we
Okay.
No.
I don't know. The Rapids are just like, can they win one game against RSL and can they get a home playoff game? So yeah, let's start with small goals.
All those things live in that same time capsule with we believe that we will win.
Oh, don't do that.
Okay. Yeah, let's
Don't do that.
let's focus on getting 3 points on opening day. Let's small goals.
Let's focus on not getting rained out on opening day again. I'll start with
Yeah.
that. Logan Jones. It felt so good.
Listening to a GM.
Listening, yeah, because I said listing. Sorry, Logan. It felt so good listening to a GM that actually talked to the media for once. We actually have a GM, by the way. We didn't really have a GM since what?
Since 2021, 2020, somewhere around that time.
Yeah, that was
like
a
4
better
years.
time. People had to stay home.
Stupid.
That was cool. Adam.
DC 25.
25. Hey, fool, am I reading or are you reading?
I want to make sure you know how to read.
Any thoughts on who the third DP will be around? When, I guess he was trying to say, will be around when he will be signed. Will he be a winger or a center forward?
Mbappe. That's it. Next question.
Mbappe.
No. Cabral's coming back.
Oh, I love it.
It's a winger, so it's a winger or a forward. I don't know what Cabral plays.
That's the
Sprinter.
Galaxy's backup plan. If they don't get Painso, they're bringing Cabral back.
Yeah,
Lovely.
Cabral plays left lost.
Greatest right back ever, baby.
That was Zardes.
Oh, yeah, that was the artist. My bad.
GK13. What about the home opener ticket pricing? I think we talked about it a little bit. It's like if you like everything, well, the Galaxy usually gets all the players, all the perks that I hope we get back at some time, all the glitz and glamour. That's the price it comes with. Should have got your season tickets. I don't know what else to tell you.
Bottom line.
Yeah. If Messi went to Colorado, the stadium would be pink.
They'd be playing in Mile High and they'd be sold out, and the cheapest ticket would be $300 if Messi came here. I say that the Galaxy are not in a position to handle the tidal wave of expectation and everything that would have to happen in order to accommodate Kylian Mbappe. There is no way the Rapids could handle having Messi here.
Lionel Messi. Dude, the greatest footballer of all time. How about that?
Yeah, no, it's like I have a friend who covers Sporting Kansas City, and there was a point a couple weeks there where they were interested in Ronaldo, and they were just like looking through would doubling security on match day financially be enough? Like those were the sorts of things that SKC was looking at that and everything. So no, the Rapids would be overrun. We wouldn't know how to. Yeah.
And so
Messi's not coming here.
We kind of took a look into the package that SKC threw at Ronaldo. That was legit. He could have been here. He would have thrived over here.
That's kind of, no disrespect to Kansas, but it's kind of sad that we didn't have anything to offer, right? We didn't at least pick up the phone.
Especially because he's sponsored by Herbalife. It could have been an easy link to that.
It just goes to show how things were in the front office at the time.
Oh, yeah. Imagine? Nah.
I would have called him.
Herbalife presents Keeping Up with CR7.
Damn.
Yeah.
Commercial hits. Can't keep up with CR7. Try Herbalife's Fuel. That's the drink of Cristiano Ronaldo. He can keep up. Anyways, Tony_B_A_N. Vanny claimed a 3-year project to success when hired. Will you support him 3 more or out? Well, the thing is, Tony, we're in leap year, so do you really count it?
Legit.
Year 3. I think year 3 they found an excuse. Gonna agree, right? In the injuries.
Yeah.
And even then, I think without the injuries, if it's a 3-year project, how far was that project really going? In year 3, without the injuries. Remember the Grand Sirs left. Oh, I think who did we lose? Grand Sir left. Cabral was a bust because we traded him last year. So, really, where were we going in year 3?
Home.
It was a lateral movement, right? At best.
Pretty much. Oh, that sucked to hear. That question was harsh.
Robert
Cifuentes. No, what you missed one.
I did? Oh, I
Sharky
did.
14.
14. Does Dejan get a passing grade at the end of this season? Yeah, for whatever team he's playing with. Not with us. Nobody else? All right, cool. Robert Cifuentes. Saludos to the homie Chewy. Hype for the season. See y'all soon. Well, he's not here, so fuck him. Fuck Chewy. Chewy, if you're watching, this is how you run a show.
Yep.
Another one from Robert Cifuentes. Will LA Galaxy fans show out more than Inter Miami at home? Tickets are on resale big. Look,
Yeah, we are.
No.
No, yeah,
Hold
we
on.
are. What the
No.
fuck?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, we are.
Damn.
As much as the LA Galaxy fan base gets shit about not being in the stadium, when it comes to big games like that, bro, we're there. No?
How about the? Okay, no. I say no. I'm close. But no.
I'm gonna say yes. You know why? Because
hell yeah.
this is not the first time Galaxy has played against Messi. We've played against him before, at the Rose Bowl, and that was granted there was a lot of Barcelona fans, but there was a huge chunk of Galaxy fans there as well. Yeah. I think the Galaxy is gonna they're gonna show up and they're gonna support the club. Yes, you're gonna have a lot of pink hits out there because this is
Here's the thing.
nature,
Here's the thing why I say no. We live in the era where there's bots, right? We live in the era where people know how to make money. I think all those tickets, most of those tickets how many season tickets holders do you think they are?
I think it's like 12,000.
12,000 in a 27,000 stadium, right? Or 30,000 max.
It's going to be all G's.
So 12,000, and then the next 15,000 went out to the single game tickets and the packages. Those are like 80% bots because there was a profit there. So you have to think about all those people that are going to pay X amount of dollars to see Messi, and then the season ticket members are going to resell their tickets to make a profit to see Messi. I'm not even seeing it as a bad thing because I'll be completely honest. I give 2 fucks about one player. I will, if I make enough, if the price is right, I will sell my ticket and pay for the rest of my season to miss one player.
That's a negative from my side.
I'm just saying. I give 2 shits about one player.
We're about to see
hold on.
the greatest footballer of all time in our stadium.
I already saw him. I saw him I saw him twice. And this is
Seen him twice already.
yeah. So
I've never seen him, so I'll be there.
there you go. So that's the thing. Like if the price is right, I'm still a Galaxy fan. I'm still a bigger fan than some people that are gonna go to that stadium and support the Galaxy.
That's true.
I'll still be watching at home and supporting them, and I'm
Money?
paying off my I'm paying
you
off my
making
season
money?
tickets and making money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
So
legit
that's why.
argument.
Yeah, so that's why for me, in my opinion, it can be close, but I think it's leaning more towards pink.
What about you guys?
I could be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong, but that's
I
what I
went
think.
I went with
What
Matt
about you guys
Fitz,
in
man,
Colorado?
because-
Would you sell
Yeah.
your ticket?
No, that's not the
To
question.
see
He's asking
Messi.
about us.
No, but
This is
I think it
Hollywood,
goes
bro.
around
But
of
this
the
is
league.
Hollywood. This is different.
No, but it goes
You
around
have
the
a
league.
lot of transplants here. You have a lot
Like
of
I
people that
said,
are not Galaxy fans.
You're
here.
about to see the greatest footballer ever.
Cristiano's not coming.
What the fuck?
about
Hell
that,
no.
man?
He's not even close to Messi.
No, because he's in Saudi Arabia. Stupid, of course not.
Matt,
So
you
Matt, what
selling
do you
your
think,
ticket?
man?
Well, I'm in the press box, so I don't have to worry about that. I just have to. I'd have to fight a bunch of Telemundo reporters and camera people and everything. But I would say that I would hope that the Rapids fan sees it as an opportunity to the novelty of seeing Messi, but also the opportunity to support their club in a very critical game that needs to be won, and not diminish the home field advantage by selling it to a Messi stan. I would hope that wouldn't be the case. I know for a fact, given how much season ticket holders are going for, if Messi was coming and everything, there's a lot of season ticket holders who could make back 30, 40, even 50% of their season ticket where that game would occur. And so I think that would happen in significant numbers.
In other words, he agrees with me. Very,
Yes.
very well put. Thank you, Matt. I knew I liked Matt.
Man, fuck you. How about that? But that doesn't for the questions, though.
No, there's the late entry.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, Sir_Kevin. And in the chat, if you have questions, shoot them for us
Or MLS,
league-wide,
just in general.
MLS, Colorado.
Yeah.
If it's true that they sell mushrooms in Colorado, you can answer that.
Do they?
Shrooms are on the ballot and then being discussed in terms of happening on scale. But we have plenty of other products for you to partake,
Ooh,
Brian, to trip
I know.
in Colorado.
Hey, we'll talk after the show.
All right, Sir_Kevin. If we don't get paint still, how about Albert Ellis? That's a huge drop off.
That's a
Albert Ellis in MLS was a fucking beast.
Keyword was.
No, he could still be productive in MLS. As a DP, no. Not my DP. Would I waste an international slot? Yes. Tam him. Bring him here. You save that DP for maybe a cam or a forward on his team. We're straight. Albert Ellis and LA Galaxy. Come on, bro. That's an easy win.
That'd be
Edgar?
great, but I already heard that the rumor's dead.
Pantera.
No, that's not. The question is, would you? It's not.
Yes, dude. Fuck yeah.
Maybe a year or two ago. Not anymore. That's just me though.
He'd start for the Rapids right now, and they just signed Omer Fernandez and Jordi Mihailovic.
Hey, Mihailovic was good at one point.
No, I think he's
Yeah, no. Jordy's going to be good for the Rapids, absolutely. But no, like Albert Elise would be absolutely fantastic. He'd be way better than Kevin Cabral, and I think the Rapids could get him for less than the salary that Kevin Cabral is getting paid right now.
Damn it, Kevin Cabral still lingers everywhere, bro. That's fucking whack. Sorry.
2 more
Colorado.
years.
Sorry, Colorado. But thank you.
I
We
wonder
don't
how
want
many, how many jerseys is Cabral gonna sell this year?
How many
10.
what?
How many jerseys is Cabral gonna sell this year?
How many family
That's a
members does he
good-
have?
That's a good question. I have not, off the top of my head, I have not seen a Rapids fan at a home game in a Cabral jersey. I do not remember seeing a Rapids fan who had a Kevin Cabral jersey. I guarantee you, first home game, I will see Mihailovic, if the goalkeeper kits are available, Zach Steffen, possibly an Omir Fernandez. But yeah, I've yet to see a the only Cabral jerseys I've seen somebody associated with the Rapids wear have been the jerseys that he and Remy have worn for the first team and Rapids 2 respectively. Remy's vibes for R2. Like there's
He's good, though. Yeah.
I'd love to see Remy on the first team.
Yeah,
right
dude.
now.
Yeah, Remy's good, man.
I think Remy just
Agreed.
has like this great energy about him.
I think
we were the
Remy and
same way
Kevin
with the Galaxy
switched
too.
positions as
I
humans.
think
It's like Parent Trap and shit. What?
They parent trapped us, bro.
Rapid Trap over there.
We've thought about, there's a conspiracy theory, Jose Canseco, baseball player for the A's back in the day,
oh yes.
had a twin brother, and they joked about it randomly one time, and then like somebody's gone back and like looked at the film, and so there's like legitimate possibility that his little brother was way worse than him. Jose Canseco, I think, would have been a Hall of Famer if it was not for the roids, but so his brother had a cup of coffee for 2 or 3 weeks with the Athletics and played less than 100 games in MLB combined. But then there's a theory that the better Canseco took actual official at-bats that his brother was credited to. And so we've thought about like could the Rapids get away with Remy Cabral wearing Kevin's jersey on the first team,
100%.
or could they get away with could they get away with Kevin faking to be Remy on R2 so that Kevin can get sent down, maybe get some confidence back, score some goals, be on side for once, shoot at a goalkeeper who will let it go through his legs instead of picking it up, and then do that as Remy rather than the embarrassment of getting put on assignment with the next pro club.
Do it.
That sounds like a Disney
Manifest
movie.
it.
Like,
That sounds like a Disney movie.
yeah, you could sell that. I'll make sure that doesn't get published on our actual pod. So that's actually it for the questions. I don't see actual questions.
Yeah,
on
that's it. I think so.
Well, thank you very much again, Matt, for coming on. Hopefully one day we can have a positive podcast between both of our clubs.
Damn, for real.
I
dude.
agree.
And our national team. Fuck, God, it's
And
all
our
bad.
God damn, bro.
At least you have the Nuggets.
You do have the Nuggets. That's
mean,
true.
Yes.
I have
We
the
have the Nuggets.
Lakers.
Cavs are good.
I have the. You know
Cavs
what?
are
Hey,
good.
funny story. You know, I have a connection to your city.
Okay.
I was stuck in Denver as the Lakers won. the
We
title.
were stuck in.
We were
Denver.
stuck in Denver as the Lakers won the 2020 NBA title.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's my connection to you.
So, yeah, it was the weekend when COVID hit hard, and we already had planned the trip to see the Rapids against the Galaxy. We went out there,
Got canceled like mid-flight or some shit.
mid-flight, game canceled. We landed. We're like, oh, fuck, what do we do? Everything's closed. Somebody said, let's go get mushrooms. And we grabbed them. We went to Red Rock. Was a fucking
Red Rocks,
beauty.
yes.
And dude,
Yes.
amazing time in Colorado. That's all I
Yes.
gotta say. Aside from the not
Eddie,
watching
Eddie
the
didn't
team
just-
play, oof, lovely.
Yeah, Eddie didn't just run. up
Rooms
the
and Red
stairs,
Rocks.
he
That's all you
floated
needed
it.
to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Red Rock and shrooms.
By the way, anyone listening, if you've never seen Red Rock, it's unreal.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
amazing. It's amazing
Yeah.
scene just to watch. without shrooms.
Like if you went to one of those AI art programs and you said make the Hollywood Bowl Colorado, like
Yep.
that's what it would produce.
Exactly. That's what it
It's
is.
one of the best outdoor concert venues on the continent.
Oh, so wait, what is it? Like?
Oh no, my camera died. Not again.
Yeah, again. Okay. Well, I guess that's a good time. To,
Once again, thank you, Matt. You've been nothing but a pleasure, and we love having you on.
Sorry,
definitely better than Edgar.
Yeah, 100%. Edgar is like whack right now.
Hey.
Thank you once again, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
No, always, dude. Whenever you want to be on, whenever you want to just talk about the U.S. or whenever you want to just vent about how bad our clubs are, because we're trying to be as optimistic as we can be, but we already know, come October,
We're
gonna be
beefing,
tough.
homie.
yeah,
We're gonna beef, homie.
no, what do you mean?
They're gonna throw.
Brian,
both
now we
footballs at us.
got bad blood. And I don't think we can.
Yeah, but why don't you tell everyone where they can find you? Obviously, you're very insightful. I don't know if you talk about the league as well, but you definitely blew a lot of our minds. And I even saw some comments like, "Wow, I didn't expect that from this podcast."
What was the good one? Yeah, so you can follow me I'm an X-Man on Twitter. So you can follow me at LWS Matt Pollard on there. Most of my audio content that you'll find on whatever podcatcher you prefer, Holding the High Line with Rabbi and Red. I'm the Red component of that. So Rabbi and I, we did a really good pod last week talking about some of the moves that the club made and what they're doing for preseason and the excitement and stuff going on there. And most of my written work, Rapids related, is on burgundywave.com.
Nope. Right.
Perfect. You can find me on Instagram and X/Twitter as Bryant Nags.
Edgar.
Edgar.
Faceless Edgar.
Faceless Edgar.
Red Lantern Corps, baby. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Edgar Nags. Never to be confused with the man on the ones and twos tonight, Eddie.
Eddie Nags.
Eddie Next. Yes, that's me. Thank you again, everyone, for listening to News Across the Galaxy late night Sunday. I know it's past some of you guys' bedtime, and some of you guys got to go to work.
Nag After Dark, baby.
Yeah, do not ruin your
Matt.
New Year's
What
resolution.
time is
Make
it
sure
in Colorado, Matt?
make sure you keep making it to work on time. Again, we appreciate you, Matt, so much. Thank you so much for being on here. We hope this is only the third of many, and yeah, we'll see you for many more. Hopefully, a playoff talk one of these days. For Bryant, Matt, Edgar, my name is Eddie on the ones and twos. Thank you, Brian, for hosting or doing your best.
I tried.
This has been News Across the Galaxy with Matt from Hold the High Line. Till next time,
Keep on nagging, baby.
keep
Let's go.
on nagging. Yeah.